Greetings, family. This is Bomani Tyehimba, and welcome to Pan-Africanism Towards Nationhood, building a global Black business pipeline. Yes, family, we're back at it again, the kings of Pan-Africanism, and we're here to talk about a direct subject to our heart, and we're going to get very real tonight, especially since we've been kicking off the 2023 Stronger. Tonight's topic, social responsibilities of nation building and Black power, the Afrikstan Analysis with Kala Genesis and Bomani Tyehimba. So family, we're going to get into it and really just talk about the responsibilities that we have, especially as Black men in this movement, especially as leaders. Now, not everybody is a leader or a Black man in this, in this movement. Some of us are Black males. You know what I mean? Some of us haven't gone up to manhood yet. We haven't taken on that challenge of social responsibilities. I'm always telling people it goes beyond just yourself, your family, your children. It goes into a whole different flow and directions when you talk about being true to Pan-Africanism and true to nation building. What you say about that, Kala?
You're absolutely right, man. And I learned since I built this. It became real to me when I started involving people in Liberia on the ground. I realized, sometimes people don't have the money, and I feel like these are my ideas, but this is life and death for people on the ground. You know, and you cannot basically overpromise people. You cannot basically. You have to be there for them. You know, you have a social responsibility that everything we do that our people are going to benefit from. At all turns.
Absolutely. A example, like if I say, "Hey, Kala Genesis, you know you're cool. You guys need to go to Africa. You guys need to go to Africa." I know people have cornered people like myself. Like this guy's always trying to tell people to go to Africa, but I've always taken it with a high level of responsibility. I would never tell people. Like as a matter of fact, you see me professionally. Instead of telling people, "Hey, go to Ghana, go to Senegal, go to Gambia," what would I do? I organize them with me, and I take them on a plane with me, and make sure that they, make their way around the country, connect them with the best of my people, and show them the journey of a lifetime. So that's what we mean by social responsibility. We're not just like telling people to do something. Our life is dedicated to that movement. Like when I tell people, when they look in the background and they see all this red, black, green, and gold, it's more than just colors. It really represent the flow of our people. From the red, from the blood of our ancestors, to the green, our beautiful African continent, to black, all of our beautiful Black people across the African continent, the African world, and gold, all the beautiful resources that is consistently being taken from our people. And that life is literally just more than about the colors. It's literally a dedication. And then you have a red, black, and green banner back there. That banner has Kwame Nkrumah, Marcus Garvey, and also Malcolm X. Three of our best Pan-Africanists from three different regions of the world. So family, we're true to life on this. This is not just talking, I literally just got back from from Tanzania and Ghana back to back. People are looking at me like, why am I still up? Because I should be sleeping. It's just, you're in and out of jet planes, you're moving around. But also what you're telling people that this is more than us traveling. Like, when you talk to people, sometimes I have to keep myself cool because they make it seem like, I'm having the best time of my life. And I'm like, yes, it does look like that, but it's,
Work.
it's a whole lot of work in the background, and you have a whole lot of responsibilities. You know what I mean? Even now, sometimes you tell people that I don't own jet planes and I don't own certain things. But when you're doing, movements with people, next thing you know, you're responsible to making sure their flights and their arrangements is taken care of and it's organized and there's no mistake. And it's a whole lot of flights and movements from all over the place that you're responsible to make sure that they have the right bookings and things like that. So we're literally here to get right into the details of it, and talk about our lives, talk about what we have committed to, and also encourage others to just get into the game and understand that you getting on live streams every day on YouTube talking about all these different characters in the government or all these different characters here that have nothing to do with us building anything in Africa. That's not really Pan-Africanism. That's just you just getting on shows and talking. And I know sometimes people like, hey, is Bomani and Kala talking about me? Absolutely, we're always talking. If the shoe fits, wear it. It's not to talk down to nobody or say anything. We're just saying that the commitment that we made in this movement, it was a commitment to just not sit around and try to be a YouTube celebrity. It's a situation where we committed to provide leadership, to go from being a student in this movement, when we were younger in this game, Kala, to now being a leader in this movement, to where we have social responsibilities, and realizing, even when me and you've been talking lately, that that we have to just make sure that we're not talking reckless, because people are, people look up to us, and people, depend on our leadership and guidance, and people, we're responsible people. You and I both operate in countries. We both live in America. You're operating in Liberia, and I'm operating in Ghana, and we both have staffs. We have crew. We have people to pay. We have people to get out there and get things done, and they're dependent on communicating with us. So we need to stay free in the free world, and we can't have them seeing us in every little beef with people, every little drama with people. Exactly. I always tell people that sometimes you run into issues with people, and you have to like we have to shut the nigger P. And I told people, like, I didn't I wanted to be on my best behavior as possible, but when it comes down to it in a real battle and things like that, you got to
the bumble clock out. The bumble clock. I think trouble, man. I heard the bumble clock. Yo, I was like, oh no. Going back to East New York, man. I said, oh,
yeah. Sometimes you have to bring the hood out on people, but I'm letting people know that we're 100%, both of us, professionals. Sometimes we get very passionate, and we speak a certain way. But we're also telling people, I'm going on 16 plus years in this business, and Kala is going on a lot longer. And we're telling people to keep on supporting us. We're the same brothers who went from being students to leaders in this movement, and have really connected an incredible world to where now we're connecting our incredible connection of Ghana and Liberia together, to where now if people are looking to reach out to us for consultation or direction, we can say, hey, we got 2 solid countries that we're working with, and we can get you all the connections you need. There's not one thing I can only thing that I've not personally been able to get people, my brothers and sisters that travel back and forth to Ghana with me, is citizenship. I've gotten them everything else, and from land, legal paperwork, to residency, to helping people with passports, visas, to helping people relocate, getting their families set up, getting them connected to people where they can work together and do business and survive together in Africa, and so on. A full movement of repatriation, and that's just social responsibilities. You're gonna have people reaching out to you, and they want to find out, can you really help them? Or are you one of those guys on YouTube that run your mouth and talk a lot? Like, sometimes I have these conversations with people, and they call me, and they're like, you know what? I was navigating through YouTube, and I noticed your tone and your movements is a little bit different from the rest. And the number one thing they talk about is the fact that most of what we have is not even monetized, and it's not a bunch of buttons up and saying, cash at me, send me this, do this. And to be honest with you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with us donating and giving money to each other and doing things to each other. Because part of our social responsibility is make sure that when we collect money and when we make earn some kind of income, it's offset to Black-owned business. And especially when we travel to Africa, make sure that we do our best to have Black accommodations. Now, people may say, well, you're going to Africa, so everything you're going to support is Black. I was like, wrong, wrong, 3 wrongs. I've seen people with itineraries, and it hurts me because when you resurrect a movement of repatriation, a movement that was dead, and you put some incredible energy into it and add towards investment and certain things, and then the biggest thing that you're topping off with it is the things that you were taught by your elders, by ancestors, about Black-owned business, working in Black cooperative economics. And then when I turn around and I see these characters, nothing but white-owned hotels on their itinerary, and then when you're talking about going out to places to eat, Chinese, Asian, Indian, all the others on the on the restaurant menu, and this is people, whether it's their Ghana itinerary, which should be the easiest itinerary to make Black, because I'm telling you, man, Ghana is an incredible country. So much is Black to where you have a great choice. So when people don't support, I realize that it's number one, it's either self-hate, or they're always thinking that everything everybody else is about is more important and better for us to support. You have countries like South Africa and Tanzania, which may be a little challenge here and there, but you can still pull it off in some aspect. But the countries that we know, the diehard Black countries, especially like countries like the Gambia, we know we have to do a little better. And if we're limited on certain things, you do your best to make the move. But the goal is, in Black cooperative economics, is when you put money together and collect the money together, organize the money together, the goal is the output of that investment needs to be, basically putting Black dollars in Black hands. And keeping it strong. So these are, again, family, social responsibilities that we all have. And if you're rolling with a group of brothers who talk all that stuff about, and talk like they're really down with Pan-Africanism, put the pressure on them to find out what are they doing so Pan-African, and are they supporting Black-owned business? And this always have to be a topic that comes up. You cannot avoid it, because right now I see a lot of people enterprising. I see people getting up. Oh, I got to go to Dubai. I got to go to Paris, France, Spain. All in places. No, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with taking your family on a vacation and going places. But at the same time, too, how many times do you really need to go to France? How many times do you really need to take a vacation to Europe? That's
my family in New
being
York.
socially responsible. Go to the Caribbean somewhere, or go to somewhere in Black Africa.
Yeah.
And plus, we have the best weather anyway. Go ahead.
My family in New York, they always going to Europe. Whatnot, But to be honest, I'm trying to get. That's another thing I want to tell you. I'm trying to get them organized so we can do a trip to Africa. Now my late uncle Al, he was to South Africa several times. I got several family members who go like that. But my family in New York, they got the real money and everything. They're always in Iceland, Greenland. They're always in Rome. They're always in with Eiffel Towers and everything like that. And I'm like, yo, do you understand? A couple of generations ago, y'all was in North Carolina, picking tobacco and whatnot. Y'all made in New York. Now y'all going to Europe and whatnot. I'm like, and also, they know I'm involved in the Pan-African. They see it, right? They know like that, right? And they'll ask my sister, my mother, well, how's he doing it? Like, what about like, yo, this is a Black thing, and the most Black thing they do is go to the African American Historical Museum. Oh, we went down there. And I told my cousin, I said, yo, man, we got to organize that trip to Africa. I got the tour guy, the guy that can make it happen. I told him, I said, we could 1 year. I said, I don't know what year it is, man, but we got to order a big tour, the whole family. They go on cruises. They go on cruises. I was supposed to go on cruises like world cruises and shit. My family in New York are rich. They got freaking money, man. They got freaking money going. They travel all the time. Whole family going. They said, when y'all coming in and whatnot? Yeah, we go on cruises down here. Our family down in Virginia. We do our thing. They do the thing in New York. We talk. We love each other. But I'm trying to get them to go. I'm trying to get them to go to Africa. I'm trying to get them to go to Africa. I want, like once this Liberia thing pulls off, I know I can sell them on Liberia. I know that, because of historical. Because historical. I say, man, you guys, when they learn about Liberia, funny thing is that most Black people who are educated don't know anything. I say Liberia. Where's that? I'm like, what? It's us. It's like, damn, man.
It's serious. I'm sure if you ask people list 5 to 10 African countries, countries that like you won't even be in there, which is.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, right? I would say out of all the Black people in America, I would say less than it's probably up to 8% know anything about the continent. 8% of Black America know anything about Africa, or interested, whatever like that. That's still a lot of people, though, But I'm telling you, how do we break that threshold, right? You break that threshold by appearing like you're social responsible, If you're talking about Africa, building in Africa, or selling in Africa, right? What people want to hear is, how's my retirement going to do? How can I make money over there? How's the healthcare system? How's like that? Are we going to have, are we organized? Who's going to be the leader? There's always got to be somebody in charge. There's somebody we can look to and say, this person could solve I could call him and his person's going to give me answers and solve the problems and everything like that. That's social responsibility. That means you got to take leadership. You can't be like, okay, we go and the problem, something start happening when not everybody's on their own. People get angry about that. They're like, oh, I had a bad experience. But who's the host? Who invited you to kind of? Who sold you on the idea? Oh, there was nowhere to be found. Once I got it, I was on my own. So this would be my social responsibility. And when we go to the continent, we go to the places, we have a responsibility to the people on the ground. We're coming to their country, and we have to be give back everything we do. Somebody was asking, I'm gonna read the show we did Tuesday, got a lot of comments, Brother Bomani, right? One of this thing where they talk about somebody said, oh, these guys want to build a whole country. I said, no, a municipality, And also, they don't even understand how we talk at length. Maybe this is a new person, right? How we are going to benefit the local community. Now, Brother Bomani and Gadgaji, when we build that technology center and everything like that, who will benefit from that thing as a part of our social responsibility? the local people, right?
Everything 100% will be a benefit to the children, especially the children that are there in the town and the community.
Right.
They're the ones that get access to, like when we expand this whole operation that's here, which is a combination of technology and business administration. You have a whole, bunch
Once
of
we
operations
transplant that
being
to the
generated.
continent, it's ball game. We'll be able to operate in every country from Ghana, and everything. That's going to be like the ground zero for our movement. No one will be able to touch this.
An ideal thing is, what you're doing is you're having a young generation of children learn things in a real operation, where if you were to do this somewhere else, they'd have to have a whole bunch of qualifications and a whole bunch of experience. But in this situation, what you're doing is you're training and educating your young generation, the same as my son. I've been teaching my son about computer technology since 2, and in business administration the last few years and things like that. And it's never too early to learn. So the years that I looked at in high school, which was, for me was good, but for some people weren't. I was in high school learning a trade the whole time from 13 to 17. So even in those years, if you can, and that's why I was well prepared when I went to take the military exam, and scored high in the world of world of more the technical areas, I should say. So which give you a good position for a technical position, but that's not going to always be the case for some of us. But as far as our children, they'll be able to learn what people like myself have learned, from military technical school, university, and also running my own business hands-on. And that's a whole lot of experience. So, and in those world, you're training your own people. So imagine if you're able to train a generation of children to be a part of a 24-hour operation, technical and business operation, where you're dealing with things, where from the things that need to be done. It's a lot of communication on the phone and also on the computer and things like that. So you have people available to respond to every communication, and also you have your own media crew out there. So you're just taking over social media and doing it the right way, where you're giving certain updates. But these are the things that you can put a generation of children in a position of, and then now you can start working on your industrial development, to where now you have more factories and you have more warehouse, and now you have your logistics operation, just like you have it here, where you have your trucks, distribution, and that whole operation. And I'm telling people, when you have the land and when you have the town, you can build these things. So I'm telling people, reach out to us, connect with us, let's work together, because it goes beyond just myself and our brand Africa for the Africans, or other brands that we have. I'm telling people, let's stop looking at these things, because our children are the ones that suffer when we have all these egos. Well, I'm not gonna mess with Kala because that's gonna make Kala shine look nice. Like I heard somebody saying something about one of our brothers that have his black owned website, to where you can share media, and I know what they were saying. Oh man, if we put all of our stuff on his channel, he's gonna shine, just like they probably think about themselves.
I think ain't gonna shine on me, man. Let me say something about that, right?
Go ahead.
I said this on Dynasty Show, right? Because I know, like I said, let me tell you something, folks, right? I believe in yin and yang, right? Yin and yang, right? Yin and yang means yang is the force of men, power. Then yin means is the female, the negative, right? In other words, basically, this is how it is. Men produce the yang energy, right? Females produce the yin energy. That means they just receive equally what you produce, male and female. Inside of every male is a little bit of female. Inside of female is a little bit of male, right? Now, in that yin and yang, so I don't want to sound like I'm being disrespectful, right? Okay, there's a Pan-Africanist realist and a Pan-African enthusiast, right? Yin and yang. You got to find out, all have to find out which one of you. What is your yin? Are your yin the Pan-African enthusiast? Is your yin the Pan-African realist? Okay? My yang is the Pan-African realist. I look at things realistically, My yin is the enthusiasm, right? That's why I don't get on there telling people, it's control, right? So when they say college, don't you have enthusiasm? Why aren't you telling people the bum rush the coast? Get over that. That's my yin, I want to tell them that, but it's controlled, I'm not going to tell them just go to Africa, go to Africa, go to Africa. Forget about America, go to Africa. I'm gonna be like, no, that's not realistic. You know, my yang is being realistic. You know, realistic, right? Some of us can go, some of us can invest in whatnot, but it's going to be a hard road. You know, you got to look at things realistically. You know, now my enthusiastic part is like, oh man, I wish we could. In other words, let me tell you something, folks. If it was up to me, right, I would take 10 million of us, right, and we'd be on planes and boats and building in Afrikstan tomorrow. You know, we have all skill. Let's go 10 million. That'd be a dream of mine, but I know that's not realistic. You know, so that stays in my yin. You know, my yin. You know, I temper my enthusiasm. You know, and that's what a lot of these young people in the Pan-African movement, these new people, don't understand. They get up here, they read a couple of books and whatnot, and they think they know it all. You know, we've been at it for 30 years. Do you know how many African Americans have been in Nigeria for decades? You know, they've been there since since they got independence.
They can't pull it off, brother. It's just not that simple to pull it off.
There's a lot of African Americans who be going at. This is nothing new. You know, everybody want to get up there like they're brand new because people been living. African Americans been going to the continent for 200 something years now. You know, they've been going every new country that got independence. Tanzania, Ethiopia, Kenya had African Americans there. You know, Ghana, there was African Americans there. South Africa, you know, when apartheid fell, 94, there was a lot of African Americans there doing big business. So you're not doing anything new that somebody else hasn't done already. You know, so I'm tired of people preaching like, oh man, we're stupid because there's a reason why not a lot of us over there, because Africa does not have the infrastructure set up. We don't have the social responsibility. We're not organized on that level. That's why we created the Black African Infrastructure Organization. If you join it, you know what I'm saying? We're connected with every country and we join that and make that a focal point, we can get someplace. You know, but people don't want to do that. They don't want, I ain't joining college. I'm just going to support this network. I'm going to do my own thing. Blah, 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 blah. You think you're doing something that somebody else already hasn't done already and failed? How many failed projects do we have in Africa, Bomani? More than we can count.
Oh, yeah, too much. Most of the projects are failure projects, and it's a lack of really, Black cooperative economics and
let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of us do this, right? Because we feel a longing for our motherland, Africa, right? So we go in there with these blinders on, these rosy colored blinders on. And we go there, put our money and whatnot, and you never see a return on it. But you just know you invested and everything. Okay, but the thing is, though, now you're up against real people, the Chinese, Lebanese, who are organized. You know, they come in with a social responsibility. Let me give you an example. There's this company, this gas station company owned by Indians that's operating in East Africa, you know? And one of the things that they're teaching, these foreign companies teaching how to be socially responsible. I'm going to tell you what we're up against, right? For example, it's a gas station, like a convenience store, right? An Indian oil company, right? The refinery company like that, right? They operate from South Africa, India, and also like that. But one of the things that struck me, I forgot the name of it, right? If I can find out, we'll post it. Was the fact that they showed them donating money to schools, right? They showed them giving local people opportunities to own their own gas station franchise. They buy from the local people, you know? So basically what they're doing is they're saying, look, if we go to these countries, right, we can't just go there like colonizers. We got to give back. So they're educated to that level of how they can integrate. And then when you talk about integrate, that's what it means. Integrate business-wise. It ain't enough to integrate with somebody. You come there with empty-handed. You come there with money and stuff like that and say, you know something? We're going to open a supermarket chain, right? But guess what? 40% of all our produce, raw produce, is going to come from local farmers. You know? You got to come with that, you know, as a social responsibility. And this is what the Chinese, Indians, you say, why do Chinese Lebanese having so much success? Because they're doing their homework. See, we expect to go to Africa and compete with the Africans. I'm just going to run a business with that. And we don't failing. And wonder why we don't have to get the support of the local people. Because the foreigners come in and say, okay, you know, okay, that's what y'all want to do on that. We're going to come in and we're going to hire people. We're going to train them. You know, we're going to give them management position, you know. How do you think these white companies are now, white South African countries have now penetrated the African market, ShopRite, you know, and stuff like that? Because they're hiring Black people. They're hiring local people in Nigeria, in Ghana, and everything when they build their malls. MTN, you know, how do they penetrate all throughout Africa? They They do social responsibility. They give outreach. You know, they do female gender equality stuff. You know, they know how to woo the people. And the bottom line is, we as Black people in the diaspora, we can't just rely on race to get us through. You can't just bum rush the continent saying, let's just go to Africa, there's plenty of opportunity, and you ain't organized. You have no plan of social responsibility, you know? And so people think, oh, God, who are you talking about? When look, if the truth fits square, you know?
Absolutely. We could be talking about anybody.
I'm tired of the Pan-African enthusiasts. I want the realists here, the realists here. Hopefully Mr. Rosenthal's calling in tonight. He's probably late, and we say a lot. He'll probably wake up and come on. And I sent him the link. Hope he comes and give us update on what's going on. That's what we talk about. So he'll talk about what social responsibility is of the Gold Bullion Bank, of the TRG Gold Bullion Bank. Social responsibility, what you owe to the local community. Okay, social responsibility is very, very important. So when people start coming at us talking about, oh, you guys want to build a country and colonize it, no. We're here to give, and it's going to be reciprocal. If we build communities there, it's for our own safety and our own well-being. So we can tax ourselves and contribute to the regional government and whatever country we're in and everything. And also we're giving back to the people. At the same time, we're getting a peace of mind. We want to be part of something, but from a position of power and strength. We don't want to be in a situation where we're destitute, and like that. People expect more from us. We come there. We should be organized. People tell me all the time, yeah, you should be organized at that high level. If we're organized, we got our stuff together. And Tennessee State University is doing big things in Africa. The president is a female. She's been involved in Pan-African stuff for years now. And so therefore, we got a lot of major HBCUs looking to partner with African colleges and vocational schools. And so that's what we mean by social responsibility. But I have yet to see anybody with a YouTube channel talk about this, put that as a forefront. Look what Tennessee State did when they shipped out a whole truckload of laptops to Liberia, Nobody covered it. Social responsibility. You can't just talk about you want a passport, you want this and want that, and you're not telling what you're giving. And a lot of times it gets lost in the sauce, And when it's too late, you're like, well, look, we did this. Well, we didn't know that, right? Well, we didn't know that. You didn't emphasize. That's why we want to always emphasize the work we're doing to partner and become mutual beneficiary to the continent. It's got to be reciprocal, and it has to be mutual benefit.
Well, perfect, brother. And before we continue, Kyle, what I want us to talk about is the responsibility of a citizen. Because since we're talking about social responsibility, one of the things I want to let people know is whatever country that may be giving you, like we have had over several hundred people since I've been going back and forth to Ghana especially in the last several years. I've gotten passports and things like that. So Ghana is one country that we know about, Sierra Leone, and there's a few other countries. So that's one of the things we want to talk about: the importance of being a citizen, and then the responsibilities, because that's what we're talking about, family. We're talking about responsibilities. But let me share with people the schedule that we have upcoming, brother, for another wonderful journey of a lifetime around different countries in Africa. Get this banner out of the way. Let me know if you can see the flyer big.
I see it perfectly.
The screen look a little different. I guess maybe it's an upgrade on the software. It looks very clear or white in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so, family, we just came back from a wonderful Tanzania November journey of a lifetime, and also Ghana December and January journey of a lifetime. And those are some of our more successful journeys, especially after the post pandemic COVID-19 era. So the numbers and everything is going up. I'm seeing a whole lot more people traveling across across Africa. The last two journeys I'm on, planes were packed and a lot of traffic. In Tanzania, was a lot more white folks on the plane. In Ghana, it is. When you go on a flight to Ghana, all you're gonna see is us. So I'm telling people that's the difference between East and West Africa, and along with other differences. So basically, letting everyone know that the different journeys that we have across different parts of Africa is different environments and different social energy. Me and Kala, we love West Africa because it's the blackest region in the world and blackest part of Africa. And it's just our connection. When we go there, we feel like we're at home. His case in Liberia, in my case also in Ghana. So fam, we set off the 2023, the 17th year of our Africa for the Africans tourism investment operation. And we're going to start off in Senegal. And we just adjusted the dates a little bit so we can get on that direct flight. So we leave a day early and come back a day early. But these updated schedules, since it's an old flyer, is on our website at africafortheafricans.org. So for Senegal and Gambia, you can still join that journey. Main thing I'm always telling everyone, once you go on our website, click on the link, read through the overview, the itinerary, the general terms, the visa information, the preparation information, because it's one of the things that we have to start embracing. Embrace reading details. You're ready to come to Africa and invest your money. Take your time, read the information. Too many times we find out that people commit to these journeys and they're not clear about the schedule. Me personally, I have the schedule on our website. I'm not here to hide or if I have respect enough for my brothers and sisters to say, hey, you know what? Take a before you commit to anything. This is the information, 100% of it. And then if you need to talk or call me and go through information, we can do that. And if you need to jump on a conference call, you can get that also. So that way you're properly introduced and information is clear. Because that's what we're about. We're taking a social responsibility of doing business the right way by number one, communicating. The same thing I tell people: if you're doing business with me, I'd prioritize your communication because we're involved in more than just communicating back and forth about information. Now we're actually doing business together. You're on a tour. You have land with us. You pay for consultation. Now let's talk, communicate, and let's get things done properly. The next thing we're heading to is let me just mute you for a sec. There's a click popping somewhere. The next journey that we have is back to Ghana, which we're looking to this show some more updates on our land, show people a nice, incredible connection. We've made a few adjustments as we have done in the last all the tours that we have updated certain things. So some of the prices are upgraded, some of the hotels upgraded, some of the flow of the itinerary is adjusted because when you're looking to build greatness, you always got to touch things up and always got to improve because that's what you're doing consistently. You're building something from the ground up and you're improving. So as time go along, you get better and better and better. And it's one of the things when you're dealing with people, you have to learn people. You have to learn people's personality, their mindset, what people want, and things like that. So as we grow, we're here to just give you an incredible journey of a lifetime like no other. So the Ghana journey of a lifetime, I've done it so much, so many times to where it's just, it's just always just interesting just to see people come there and then they just feel at home. But that home connection is based on us building relationships in the different countries and make sure even when we're not there that we have people that will take care of you. That's the incredible network we have set up across from America to Africa. It's more than just us just telling people that we're going to take them to Africa. It's a solid program where we're looking to connect with you, where you have business and investment conference, we have land presentation, and we have a whole lot of networking. And plus, we have the coolest resort parties to where we just, if it's in time of the new year, we have New Year's party. If it's not, then we have other social, connection to where, you get a chance to just get out, have some fun, have a good time, enjoy the beach, enjoy the atmosphere. And so those are the things that we've been able to build on that journey. And after that, we're going to tap into fresh waters and fresh connection into Rwanda, right in the middle of summer, perfect for those who are out of, who are looking for a journey to travel with us when school is not completely in. So that's usually summer and December. Tanzania, off to our fourth Tanzania journey, and then we close out in South Africa, and then start the year back off in Liberia. And that Liberia journey is going to be an incredible journey. Me and Kala has been working on this since last year, to where we have worked together and put together a phenomenal itinerary, an itinerary that's going to get you connected in an incredible way. And we're looking to build from the ground up. So when we, it's a complete reconnection and investment tour. And so it's more than just coming and touring and learning about Liberia. We're setting up for the future. And our good brother Kala is going to definitely share more of that with you. But family, as you see the flyer, check out the social pages. Got lots of photos and videos. I mean, you're talking about videos and photos from 2006 from many different countries. So if you just want to get a feel for what we do, you can check out the documentation. And then these are just some of the group pages. Once you're on the website, you'll see all the group pages from the last tour we took all the way to 2006, every single group page. So you can see the multitude of people, the big groups, small groups. But one thing you have seen is every year we're always in Africa, and many years over the last few years, multiple years. So that's that journey. And for those who are looking to, as far as Ghana, looking to connect with us on the Black Star Pan African community, that information is also on the website. So you can process the information, join some of the calls, reach out to us. Everything with me is going to be a situation where I'm a detail-oriented person. And, when we're putting together programs, we want people to take the time out and say, hey, I appreciate someone putting together something versus just putting together a flyer and say, hey, send me all this money. We go to where if you have no experience even traveling to Africa, no experience on any of the things we're dealing with, you learn little by little. And just like we have people in the country that we deal with, they have learned from our business enterprise to where, we have encouraged other people to get into business. So when we talk about creating this global Black business pipeline family, it's it's very practical and it's real. We're not just talking about it. We're here to live the life, and that's what we're talking about as far as Black Power and Pan Africanism. It's it's something that you have to walk and you have to live. It can't be something that you overshadow people with all the sweet talking and all these things and give yourself all these titles. I'm a chief, I'm this, I'm that. I mean, all of that is cute and it's nice. But at the end of the day, are you willing to do the work that it takes? Because right now, when we look at whatever part of Africa, I was in East Africa, dominated by the Indians. Now I go back to West Africa, Lebanese, Chinese. People ask me, why is there so many Chinese signs? I was like, I don't know what to tell you. We've been talking about this for a long time, and we just never got the energy we needed. Hey, China's been doing some good stuff around the world. So the one thing I can say, is that Africa connection to China. At least you get some infrastructure developed. You may have overflux of Asians in your country now, but that's the cost of what you have to deal with. And so it's no free it's no free lunch, Kala, right? No free
And
lunch.
I want to talk about that, right?
And then we'll get back to the citizenship. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Show me real quick.
I want to talk about it, right? Now, people need to understand something, right? And people are like, how dare the Chinese Chinese are bringing infrastructure, right? Infrastructure to the continent, right? America, for the most part, right? Up until I would say 8 years ago, America ignored the rest of the world. This is the first world, right? The world is playing what? The most popular sport in the world, what? It's football, soccer, right? America didn't even think it would have a team, right? And when people remember a couple of years ago, they saw about America have a soccer team. They said, "Oh, it's a conspiracy to make us a one world government." Blah blah blah. We don't want to know about the World Cup. Okay, the world's playing soccer, football. I mean, everybody thinks in America, everybody's gonna be watching the Super Bowl. Yeah, they will, but more people watch the World Cup. It's bigger, than the American football. So Black people have the same mentality in America, where we didn't think globally for a long time, right? On the whole. And now the Chinese have been doing, right? And they've been going to Africa and they won the hearts and minds of the people. You know, Africans really don't trust the Chinese, but they look at the alternative, the West, right? And America hasn't done anything, right? Africans are looking at America pull out $80 billion to give Ukraine, a province of Russia, right? And out of the pockets, right? $80 billion. Don't even know where the money's going. No oversight, no nothing. But yet, when it comes to Africa, if they give you $300 million, they want the ports, they want the airport, they want you Africa to sign over all this stuff. They want you to do the structural adjustment programs, all stuff like this, right? And Africans have finally found that they really don't need the United States anymore, And you got Africans talking about joining the BRIC countries. You have a non-aligned movement, which Africans didn't vote against the Russian invasion, right? They stayed neutral. They didn't vote for it against it. They stayed neutral. That's unheard of, right? So geopolitics is shifting, right? And so what the last ditch attempt for the white people to do in America is they're seeing all these African Americans going to the continent, right? So let's exploit the African Americans' love for Africa and put a blackface on our neo-colonial agenda. That's what the U.S. Africa Summit was, if you want to ask. So somebody, Barati in the chat room asked, what do you think about the NAACP? Like, this is done. Look, the BAIO, Bomani, and several other people got more connections on the continent than the NAACP does. You know, we've been working the continent. He doesn't know anything about the African guy. You go, I went there a couple of times and everything like that. And so we're gonna. It's all about pushing America in Africa, right? What we're doing, we're put what we call a Black African infrastructure. You know what that means? That means it's not an American infrastructure. It's not a Euro infrastructure. It's a Black African infrastructure. That means that Black people from here, the diaspora in Africa, are building their own infrastructure together. Okay. Now, if America supports that, right, and sees some benefit to that, hey, we can work with America. You know, I'll be the first to say, if you support the idea of a Black African infrastructure, us controlling everything from top to bottom and everything, our own financial system, our own technical system, railways, shipping, and all stuff like that, you know, as Black owned, on investment groups and everything, Black owned, any sort of business that you come there, investment party, you know, but I don't have faith in that. Why? Because when they formed Africom a decade ago, right, the Africom, the whole board of Africom was these lily white people. This is Africa, all these white people. Not one Black face. Then they bring in this guy named General named Chip Ward. He turned out to be corrupt, and he's the director of Africa, a Black guy, you know. So basically, they put a Black face. I mean, let's go by history. It was under the Bush administration, then Obama administration. They put a Black face on a white operation, Africa. So this is what they're doing now. They're putting a Black face, the NAACP, what's his name? Eric Adams, and all these other people on a white agenda. And what is their white agenda? To stop China's influence in Africa. Not to say we're going to compete with China and say we're going to outdo China as far as infrastructure and everything. They're not going to do that. You know, they're talking about the deindustrialization of Africa. They're talking about climate change, right? Because remember something, climate change and all this stuff like that, population control, which Bill Gates, and you hear the Prince William, Prince Harry admitted that his brother Prince William says he asked the Queen of England that Africa be his. Now, are we talking about the same Africa? This devil is actually saying that Africa belongs to him, the British crown. And the fact of the matter is, when you talk about Africa and everything, you're coming from the West, you are basically in bed with these people. The United States does what the British tell them to do in Africa. The United States does what the French tell them to do. The United States protects Canadian interests in Africa. The United States, Belgium, France, all these other countries. That's what the United States agenda in Africa. The United States does not have a direct agenda in Africa, really. So it's all about basically these Western ideologies of basically slow growth, no growth, right? Give the Africans visas and everything like that, you know, continue to brain drain, and and natural resource drain and everything. And it's nothing in Africa where you see the United States. You show me anywhere where the United States have went to a country and the country is developed. Look at the Philippines, a shithole. You know, look at Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a freaking absolute mess. Look at all these Nicaraguans and Honduras that are in New York City wrecking shelters and whatnot, you know? That's the United States. Look at Venezuela. You know, any place America puts its hands on, it's a disaster. So what they want to do is America in this sick mind, it almost has no ability to basically do anything, the white American mind, you know, and the Negro to follow. So therefore, only thing we're saying is this. If you're going to do business in Africa, you're going to have to sit down with us, the BAIO, and all these other people and say, yo, how can I get into Africa? How can we compete and everything? And America has to humble itself. Okay? Other than that, there's going to be no deal. I'll let China take the continent over before I hand it over to these racist people who bled the continent dry. You know? As simple as that. So to answer the question, no, I don't think the NAACP is any sort of thing. The NAACP has always been used for white interests and Jewish interests in the Black community. Okay, we have never benefited from any of these things. So why would I introduce that to Africa? That's not a social responsibility. pushing the LGBTQ and all stuff like that in Africa is not a social responsibility. You know, we got to be social responsible. You know, we got to protect African children. I don't want pedophiles coming to the continent. And also, a part of our social responsibility is this: if we know people that's going to the continent and doing things with underage girls, stuff like that, we got to out them. You know, we have to protect the community.
Absolutely, it's unacceptable. That's when we really have a social responsibility, because we have to protect our children.
Yeah, and we have to protect our reputation, because they're looking for anything to discredit us. You know, you got white men who could go on the beaches with in Mombasa and places like that, where your underage girls, Italian guys come down there with their money and whatnot, and I had an argument with one of my good partners in Liberia, and I said, well, what about this guy? You know, I'm not gonna mention his name on the thing. This white guy, you know, is an enemy of mine in Liberia. You know, well, you know, yeah, he gets all that good Liberian pee. And I said, look, you know something? Why is this guy? Let me stop. Let me stop before we get right. I said, you know what I said? Why? Can you imagine what I said? You know, why
Absolutely, I can imagine.
Why is this guy breathing? You know, well, you know, this and the other thing. I said, because the bottom line is this, right? They basically, because I didn't see that when I was in Liberia, you know, but you know, it does exist.
Because I know you'd approach somebody.
Of course, you know. And I know the white people that I saw there knew that I was from the United States, right? And they were acting real scared around me, you know. You know, they were like terrified, like, you know, they knew they know who's Black American, African American.
The fear of a real Black man being around.
Yeah, you can tell your aura around you. You know, you can tell your aura.
Yeah, they just,
you know. And so therefore, basically, I'm like this. You know, this nonsense and everything like that. We have a social responsibility. No, you're not gonna. And I was looking for that too. You know, you are not going to touch our children, Black, white, whoever you are. You know, that's unacceptable. We're not going to have it. You know, that's our social responsibility. Unsocial responsibility is look the other way and say, I heard people, so-called Pan-African, well, you know, that's how they do and whatnot. No, nigga, you can't be with me. You know, we have to be committed to the cause of African redemption. We have to protect our children. We have to protect our sisters. You know, don't engage with a woman that's hungry, feed her children. Don't take her body from her. If you have a couple of dollars in pocket, give her something to eat. You know, that's a social responsibility, doing the right thing. You know, and when we have that image of helping people and doing the right thing on the ground and everything like that, people look us as like, you know, different and everything. We're gonna win the hearts and minds of the people. They're gonna give us the benefit of the doubt. We're going to be able to compete with the Chinese. We'll say, okay, well, geez, these guys are coming over here and they respect our women. They're marrying our women. They're treating them like queens and everything like that. That's the image I want to see us go over to the continent. Social responsibility, you know, and we have to have a social responsibility on the ground. You know, we have to basically do that, you know, because if we don't and everything, we become just like the Europeans, everybody. And now let me be frank with you, right? Let me be frank. Let me be more frank. I'm gonna say something that's gonna shock the people, right? We got to be better than the local people who get education and who don't think nothing about their own people and exploit their own people. You know, it's like you go to some parts of Nigeria. I say, how the hell you have a big mansion right here, and you right over there you got people living in slums and squalor? You know. Why? And we're going to build a development thing. We're going to make sure that everybody in our proximity is going to have a decent standard of living. Every kid in our region and everything like that is going to have access to education. Is going to have the access to basic health care, transportation, electricity, all these things like that. I believe everybody that's around us in our community that's associated us should have. And that's better than a lot of people that's even on the continent. Because a lot of people just tell me that's just the way it is. There's rich and poor and everything like that. But we, not saying that we're holier than thou, but we just have to be a better light. And I think we are. And that's what the real African Americans always all about. That's who we are as a people. Okay? We've always helped people. We've always sacrificed. We always did the right thing. Okay? When South Africa, we galvanized South Africa, the world against South Africa, our entertainers, artists, our politicians. Everybody said, that's wrong. We're going to do this. And we didn't ask for anything in return. You know, We didn't say like, and nothing against my boy Phil Scott. We gotta get something out of it. You know, Phil, it's not a buffet house, bro. You gotta get something out of it. You know, we did it because it was the right thing to do.
There you go. Hey, that's a social responsibility that people sometimes don't understand. Why is everything you guys got to get cash from and just get rich from and just make some money from? I mean, serious business, man. Some of these guys think that's the only way to live. I'm like, I do understand, we all have to make a living, but it's like part of, your social responsibility is the sacrifices you have to make along with your own people at times. Like you talk about someone have a mansion here, and then it's just like awkward to me still to this day. Even when I drive around, countries like Ghana, where you see certain people living real good, then right down the street you see a whole different world, or you just, or maybe it's just people that you just see doing basic work along, and then you just live in this rich area. But we got, we definitely I know it's one of those things where the classism is crazy in some of the countries, right? To where where it's not.
But
so
it shouldn't be that extreme.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
What we're trying to do is create a
big
middle.
difference.
We gotta create a middle.
Exactly. It's not enough, like people talk about here. It's not enough middle class or middle.
We gotta have a middle. We gotta build. I'm a product of the black middle class. What that means. I want to spread the gospel of the black middle class. Nothing better in the world than the black middle class. I'm serious, right? We moved from the inner city to upstate New York, whatnot. My parents, whatnot.
Good story.
Mom had a good job. Everything. We had a nice house, pool. We had all that shit like that. I formally.
Sound like the beautiful southern life here in Georgia.
Yeah, check us out. Check us out in America right now, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. I've been here for 32 years now, right? I've seen like 2 generations now in the black middle America. Large cities. This area is large. Norfolk, area like that. You got a few million people in this area, right? Black. Most of the black people here, 90% of them are in the middle class.
You've literally seen it growing for the time you've been there, because
I've seen people struggling like crazy. When I first came here, this was poverty central. Now there's a black middle class. Most kids growing up, they go in to play soccer. You see kids growing up, all they know about is their new Xbox game and shit like that. And so therefore, I'm like, look, and they're happy for the most part. Happy. We got problems with crime and stuff like that in certain areas, but for the most part, people basically like their life. And I'm saying to myself, when I first came here, it was do or die. There was some black people who had money, and there was black people who had absolutely nothing. But over the years, somehow just evened out, and everything. We have to get to that middle area. If you create that atmosphere where you got people going from poverty to the middle class where they can own a nice house, have the basics. Come on. The people living in a shanty and shack, man, would love to live in a small house that got electricity, got a television, got running water, refrigeration, indoor stove, and plumbing, and everything. The basics.
Yeah, exactly, brother. That's the basic, and that's where we have to get to more in Africa. And you mentioned that to me about more of the Asian countries. After a while, they created more of a standard way of life to where exactly like we see in Singapore now. Even though more people living more urban life, but they decide to build up and use the best of what they can use with their land and just be efficient and make it work. But their whole goal, regardless, was to make sure that the majority of people have access to all of the basics.
Africa's following the European model. They're building these lash suburbs and sprawling suburbs and everything like that. It's not working. Instead of, on less land, you could build vertically. Build apartment buildings and stuff like that, and you bring those people. China's built 500 cities, right? And they pull millions of people out of the rural areas and poverty to those, right? And they still got millions of people they got to move to these cities. If you look at China, like Wuhan's like its own city. It's like its own country inside China, Millions of people, 25 million people live in that city. And they all live in mostly apartments, high-rise. But they're on the street, They got the businesses are bustling and everything like that, We got to build like that. We have to have that sort of plan where, where rich and poor live together, and form a middle class, and stuff like that. That's what culture is all about. You can't have a culture and the wealthy live way over here, right? And the poor live right here. What happens is this. If the people down the bottom don't feel like they're benefiting from what you're building, they're going to rebel against you, But when you have a situation where everyone's living together, they're going to the same theaters, they're going to the same movie theater, they're going to the same art galleries, and they're socializing with each other and everything, it's hard for somebody to come in and divide you, you know, because we're going to be tested. You know, we're going to be tested. There's going to be people who come in and say, yeah, man, look at all these African Americans living there and whatnot, but the local people aren't benefiting. We're going to say, you know something? Won't you come to our classes? Here's the truth. You know, they're going to go in there, they're going to see young kids in class, you know, they're going to see young kids on the playground, in our playgrounds and everything, in our parks and everything. And they're going to be like, wow, okay, we're wrong. Yeah, you're lying. Because we know that's exactly what they're going to happen. They're going to try to divide us by class and background and stuff like that. This is not over, folks. This is not over. They're going to try everything they can. That's why having a good social responsibility is essential. It's vital. Okay? You can't just say, oh, yeah, Pan African like that, you know, and you're living good. And when I see people all the time, they always, you know, I have nothing against nobody going to Africa building a big house. I have nothing against you know, but, you know, we had a situation like that in Fianca, remember? You know, Fianca were murdered, you know, because of jealousy, envy, you know, envy and jealousy, you know, and we didn't catch it soon enough when people envious and jealous, and, you know, and it happens, you know, so we have to basically do this. So, and they were doing social responsibility, you know, they were helping the people, you know, even when you do the right things, it could happen. But when you don't do the right thing, it will happen.
And at the same time, too, you know, we're making these moves. You know, people have to understand that they have to, you know, you have to protect yourself in all means. And you know, that's the best way to do that is to be amongst and look out for each other as a people. It's not about us and them, but the reality of it is, you know, wherever you go in the world, you have local people, and then everybody else is considered foreigners. Unfortunately,
right. That's what it is. Well, we the only group of people don't get that. We don't get that.
And it's a mixed situation because you know you're the closest thing to people natively in whatever country, because you know we're stolen, but you know it's something that you know we have to figure out as a people. And you know the best, you know, what I've learned in my lifetime is what we're doing right there in our community, and building public relations. And you know you letting people know, hey, you know, we're here in a reconnection move, and you're here to create opportunities, but you're here to also reconnect yourself into the culture, into the country, and be a part of the future. And it's not you being a foreigner coming to exploit, because it takes a while before some people understand that you're not a foreigner, you're actually a brother or a sister.
Right.
And
yeah, we're the same race.
And you know, everyone in the continent is gonna have different education levels. Some people don't have no education about me and you, and or where we come from. And it's some people may say, how can that happen? I'm like, the only thing I can tell you is I can line up a bunch of children for you, and you go ask them the questions, and they'll tell you all kind of variation of many things. And you know, we complain about our education system here. The same thing I ask our son all the time: what do you do at school? What do you learn at school? All I know is, like, every time I turn around, they're not in school. And I was like, son, you know, at this rate, your generation of the children that you're going to school with, you guys are not going to be able to compete with the likes of you know, different Asian countries, which is some of the most aggressive in education and aggressive in learning all of the, you know, the top fields in the world. And you know, I got to give it to them. You know, they serious. I mean, they're serious. When I went to, you know, when I was in Asia in '99, I just saw
look at
the people.
Look at Vietnam is growing so well right now that the Vietnamese used to always. This is no thing. I thought about this. Beautiful, right? Vietnamese for generations used to go to Japan for education and everything like that, right? And learn and come back to Vietnam. They said, we want to make our country like Japan. They did, right? Now you got Vietnamese guys saying that, you know, it was a rite of passage where a guy would go work in Japan for a few years, right? And send his wife and children. And they always, these guys, young guys always got wives and kids, you know? He guys in 20. I got to take my wife and kids and whatnot, you know. But in America, this is how it goes. You know, the woman will be on Section 8, welfare and everything like that. The guy's over there doing this thing. It's just broken, you know. And so he's taking care of his family, right? And so finally he said, He said, man, he found out he could make more money staying in Vietnam than he didn't have to go to Japan. So they're getting to that level. That's
Yeah.
progress, you know.
They,
He
they,
said, he goes, I don't want to live in Japan. I'm Vietnamese. I want to live in my own country.
yeah, the
You
only
know?
reason why he's going there for it was for economic opportunities. So that's the situation with same thing with us in Africa. Once we build what we need to build, we don't need to risk our lives of fake economic opportunities in Europe or America. Because
Right.
it's its system is still a trap, and
We could build the
and
opportunity.
people are not ready for it.
We could build our goal is to build the opportunity on the continent by building what? The infrastructure, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when people see us coming in, what they have to open their mind to is like, hey, you have a group of people from the African diaspora, they're coming in. They're just not just coming in to come in. I know some people are doing that, but the goal is to come in to be a part of building the future, building the things that we need to keep us sustainable in Africa, to keep us where, I'm all about international travel and movements, but the situation is real. You have a whole lot of people from Mexico and below Mexico, and I'm not going to say anything derogatory tonight, but it's like they're in search for greener pastures in life, and they know where they're coming right here, and it's what it is. And regardless of whatever me, you, or anyone else think, they're gonna find a way in.
Yeah. There's bummer
and,
supporter, man.
and one way or another, whether it's one party in government saying, let's use them and play a game of and send them to all over the place, because people are because all of these are just games people are playing, and they're positioning themselves. And the only thing I can always look at is the fact I look at us. It's kind of like one of those situations when we talk about the last to hire and the first to get fired. It's like that situation. It's like that you're just below the line of priority in anything.
Right.
Anyone, a group of Martians can come and
Oh yeah, they'll say, "Oh, Martian, green men, Negroes." Yeah,
a priority over black folks, and it's like I tell people, I was like, yeah, I know it's wrong, it's cold, it's wicked, it's all of those things, but it's like, what do we do? I mean, are we gonna compete? Because at the same time, too, they can do whatever, them being,
they work
people,
cheap.
whatever run the system can say, we're gonna do this, we're gonna bring in a whole bunch of people. It's just like in certain countries in South America, it was completely this that the black population of men was high. Now you go there, it's a low percentage of black men. Already know what they done. They come and bring in other folks, a bunch of white men, and then I guess they probably, I don't know what they did with them, and probably castrate them and put them on labor camps. Who knows? But all they know is that what you see is what you see now, and things like that. So I tell people, whatever our situation is, it could be completely worse or completely different. It just, it's like, but we have to get ourselves prepared. So part of preparing, you telling people like, let's make this strong connection in Africa. Let's build. Let's not just push people to go to Africa, go to Africa. Let's lay out a vision of us from building communities to group economics, group projects, to literally just opening up opportunities for the rest of us to come and live and do business and make our content stronger with, especially quality of people. We have quality of people. I'm letting people know that, just because you see the raggediness on YouTube and the raggediness around, most of our people are not like that.
Right.
Like you live, I lived in Virginia, and I know you live at, it's just groups of families who just live in the suburbs, and and they're just, they're not doing any of this and things
Yeah,
that are,
and
and
this,
yeah,
this,
but
this
it's
notion that people keep saying, "Oh, but you know what, and I'm not trying to be funny. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be funny. What is happening is I'm seeing this over the last year. It's like a nightmare, right? It's like we say social responsibility, right? And it's the part I want to talk about, right? And I try to crack on nobody or be funny and like that.
Come on, let it out, brother.
but it's like, if you don't have any social responsibility in America, right? What the hell are you going to do in Africa? Social responsibility means paying taxes, obeying the law. You know what I'm saying? Staying out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Staying out of trouble, doing the right thing. All stuff like that. Social part. You got to do your part, as it's a social contract, right? I do my part. I work, and I stay out of trouble and everything like that, right? The society, the government, right, takes care of the trash, the electricity, all that stuff like that. And then we have a harmony, okay? You got people in America, black people, some of the black in America, right? They say, "Oh man, you know, I was driving, though I was driving 25-mile over speed limit. Hey, this cop pulled me over. Yeah, motherfucker, you, I ain't giving you shit, you know, dude. You know, you broke the law. You know, part of your social responsibility is obey the law, right?
Yeah, that's the part
Now,
of it.
I'll tell you right now, you don't want to get smart with African police. You know, you don't want to do that. You know. And people go in. You don't want to. So when you go over there, right? Obey the law. You know,
Serious business,
don't
absolutely.
speak. Obey the law. Find out the
Obey the
laws
law.
are and stuff like that. Social responsibility. So what you have is a lot of people who don't have any social responsibility in America, right? Another social responsibility is get yourself educated, right? You could go online right now and find in your area, right? All kinds of classes. They advertise them all day while you're sitting on your ass eating cornflakes, right? You know, get yourself in a technical school. Get yourself in this, right? You don't do that. You're not taking the time to get your education. You know, there's grants for you to go to college, federal grants for you to go to college. You know, you're not taking all the opportunity to get yourself together, right? Here, right? But yet you want to go to the continent and burden the African continent with your foolishness.
Hey, somebody, you know, there's a U.S. military here. They're always recruiting.
Yeah, you go into the U.S. military. You know?
Not here to tell people what they should do with their lives and things like that. No, 'cause that's not what I'm ever here to do. But it's one of the better opportunities where you can get yourself established, and it's what it is. And people always ask me, "What about war?" I'm like, "What about war? What
and
about
that's
this?
another
What
thing.
about that?"
Hey, there's another thing, right?
You could be sitting right there in your living room, and next thing you know, shots ring out, and that's
Right.
people on the streets fighting a war that you're not involved in, but you're the bystander, you're the victim. But what about war? And I tell people that's the goal. The goal in the modern day world is peace. Everybody have all these aircraft carriers, all these weapons of destruction to defend themselves, to keep some level of peace. I mean, I don't know. The best time I tell people to do these things is now. You know, when you have, like, I was literally in the Navy. It was. I don't think you can get any more peaceful than that time.
Yeah. Hey, check us out.
But sometimes, you know, it's not all about those things. I know Vietnam scares the hell out of people, but
yeah, check it out. I check it out. Back in 03, right? I worked as a security guard overnight in the city of Portsmouth, right? We're out there on the waterfront was those battleships out there a couple of times, right? And this would change me. And I said I learned a lot, right? I used to sit out there, right, look at those battleships, those size of those guns on those ships and everything like that.
Right?
You know, I said to myself, right, now those guns could friggin' destroy cities, you know? I said, whoever designed that, whoever designed that, right? Whoever mans that means business, you know? I said, the United States, I forgot what ship it was. I forgot what ship it was. It wasn't a carrier. It was just a freaking regular battleship.
Yeah, it's probably a serious destroyer where you see all them big guns.
It was a destroyer. You know, it was like the three guns, you know, sticking out. I was like, them things are huge, man. I was like, damn. I don't even want to be on the other side of that, shooting those things, you know?
The impact would scare the hell out of you.
The impact, yo, shit, man. I said, I don't even want to be on the other side. And I said to myself, now, whoever is on the receiving end of that shit, then it dawned on me, these motherfuckers can destroy us, destroy Africa if they really wanted to, you know? You know, if they really wanted to, they could do it, you know? You know, but the whole thing is this, though. I tell people all the time, right? When you start talking about citizenship and everything like that, right? Sooner or later, these countries in Africa are going to ask you what your allegiance are, you know? And that's why we talk about building the Afrikstan, you know, because we're going to make that decision one day. You know, what side of that gun boat are we going to stand on? If the United States ever comes and everything. It's like, let me tell you something. You say, well, what does the United States think about Japan? Oh, we're best friends. Everything like that, right? But you knew the hatred and the war that the United States and Japan went through, right? But now they're friends. The black man has never had his war with the white man, you know? And that's why we're in limbo here, you know? We're like, oh, yeah, this and the other thing. We feel something. We want to build Africa. But we know we're stuck here because we didn't make that decision to build our own nation, you know? When you build your own nation and it's conflict and everything, you could come back to the United States a couple of years later and say, you know something, we could be friends, you know, whatever. Why? Because you're in a position of strength. You have your own land, your own base.
Yeah.
You know?
It makes a difference. Yeah.
But when you got so-called black nationalists sitting in America, talk about, oh yeah, America. Dude, you inside the United States. They can just get rid of you anytime they want to. You know? A lot of times they all they do is call child support, you know? They don't need the police. What child support? That nigga what 4 months behind? Let's go get that nigga. Next, there's a lot of dudes.
That's cold-blooded, yo. That's cold-blooded.
There's a couple of brothers get that. I ain't gonna name the organization that's hemmed up right now. You know, they just say, such and such. Haven't heard from him in days. He's locked up, man. You know what it is? Child support, man. They don't have to go get you on no gun charge, man. They know you in about what? You haven't paid what? Don't lock that nigga, you know? They got a million ways to get your ass, you know?
Sorry, people have to go through that. I take care of mine.
Yeah. I'm saying so that's what it is. So getting back to this thing, what I was talking about, citizenship, right? I think, if you can go to a kind of, you have to, like I said, social responsibility. They're giving you citizenship, right? What are you giving in return?
There you go. That's the next main thing we're talking about.
Yeah, what are you giving in return? Now, what's the big deal? Yeah, it is a big deal. Because after a while, right, they're going to get tired of you. Okay? They're going to get tired of you. They're going to say, you know something? Like, it's already happening. You heard about this incident with Meek Mills. Okay? Meek Mills went to Ghana, met with the president. A lot of people are upset over that. They're like, well, who the hell is he? He's some rapper. Why does he get like that, you know? And
yeah. It's I don't even know what to say about that, brother, but that was one of the big stories that you and I was talking about.
Yeah, and I have no problem with Meek Mills. Oh, I love Ghana and everything like that. And he got all this press, and everybody's starting to say, why is he so important, you know? And Meek Mills is connected with Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rock Nation, and all stuff like that.
Let me even just give a positive energy in it, because it's 2023 and we're here to be positive and strong.
Yeah. I have
the government of Ghana. One thing they do like people who can be as an outreach. I mean, outreach to connect people to their country and bring in certain people. So with those kind of people, like they gave the journalist Roland Martin. They gave him time to talk to the president. And they realize he has a certain outreach, so that's simply what they're looking to do. But at the same time, too, a young brother that's into hip hop music, Meek Mills, is like 35. He has a big impact on a young.
He was at that Acapella, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I'm saying he has an impact on younger generation of people. Right now, the thing of what people like myself are always trying to do is find ways how we can get our generation of people into Africa.
Right,
so if you bring in someone like an entertainer who have an audience of people, like some people that was hating on him, I'm like, do you have an audience of people that when you go back and you start making music or you start doing certain things and say, yeah, I went to Ghana, Africa is actually cool. People are actually not living in trees and they're not living because when you go to like Accra, you're talking about one of the more developed parts of Africa, in that the city of Accra, very impressive in certain parts. That would definitely impress people. And if people say, well, it's not like that, then compare it to other parts of Africa that you're gonna go to, because I've been to many other parts and I've compared them. Like, that part of Ghana, when you land from the airport into that entire area right there, well developed, very impressive.
I've seen it.
It's an incredible quality of life. I know that because we always stay in that area for the first few days anyway, and things like that. So when people at Meek Mills is experiencing that, in Africa right there, one of the main things, when he's communicating with his other people, and, like, hey, I've been to Africa, and it's, and it wasn't like this raggedy country. Well, you can say, well, I've been to Ghana in Africa, or, even if he said Africa, Ghana still is a great representation and things like that. So people hating on them and things like that. Those are the impact they have. People like myself, I've been coming back for so many years, and I only have so much impact, whether I'm on this person channel or on radio, and then some people won't even let me get on anything. Like,
and that's another thing we're gonna talk.
They're like, who are you? They're like, who are you? I thought you're not Umar Johnson. We can't let you on this channel. You're not popular like that. Because some of us, and I'm telling people that I'm never offended by that. It's like, you don't get up every day to be famous and popular. You get up every day to do the work. But the movement that you're making, I'm happy to see other people. Even when the first set of celebrities started coming in the 2019 year return, I'm like, yo, man, I hope they just big the place up. and go and let people know, hey, Africa is actually nice. Ghana is a nice place in Africa that you can actually come and you see other Black people from the diaspora. They're moving around, traveling, living, doing business. They're liking the place, and maybe you can open your mind to go in and invest in, because we realize if we get a few people into one country, then other countries will pop up, because
right.
like,
and I agree with that, because let me tell you something, right?
just on a positive note, I mean, to
Yeah,
be
on a positive, I
respectful.
agree with that, because like I thought about that long and hard, right? I said, man, we've been like at this for a long time, right? And then he comes along and McMills, Ghana, and everything like that. It's front page news, right? And like I said, so maybe we do need that sort of energy, and
Absolutely.
that doesn't mean that we're suddenly gangster rappers and anything like that. But the bottom line is this, though. What it does is this: all the detractors against what we're doing after, they go outside the door, like Tariq Nasheed. What does he got to say? Big Bill's had a long time, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't go to Africa, and all these stupid motherfuckers like the Nakmeezis. Don't go to Africa. The don't go to Africa crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're out the door. We still
I'm looking at that.
we're gonna look at so therefore, I applaud Meek Mills for going through
Yeah,
the content.
applause, man. No, I mean,
Yeah,
applause.
we give him an A on the Pan African report card. That's another thing.
Absolutely, brother. And then
the Pan African report card, right? We
I
give
mean,
Meek Mills.
the brother's talking real with the president. I mean, just tell him that his struggles in life are being.
But there's a colleague of ours, like that, that's highly upset about this.
Oh yeah, we don't pay him no mind. The fact, I'm always looking for some of my brothers who are just real brothers out there to get access to certain things, and like, yo, man, because that I've taken many people to Africa and it has transformed them. It's been a blessing. I mean, this from the olden days to where now we actually have things like well organized and nice and everything, all aspects of this experience. And one thing it always does, it transform you, because number one, you always hear about Africa and you probably like, man, I never thought I'd be in Africa. I remember the first time I was going, I was like, I got so crazy, but I started, that's when I started just recording everything, and I'm one of the people that made this some of these things popular, where you just literally just record everything from showing people. I even regret even showing people, because it's none of people's business, but we're showing people everything in our hotel room, pillow fighting, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was just having a real good time, and the thing of it is, it transformed people like myself to where one of my I always got many these regrets. When you move up in your career, you just have regrets, but it's like I tell people that you always got to move up in them. But I put aside I literally eventually just gave up my civilian aviation aviation aircraft maintenance position, and just literally got into more IT tech support and technology and business support, and kind of just building your own independent brand, because you have things that inspire you. Number one, it gives you flexibility. Number two, it's kind of like whatever you build independently, you can build here in Africa. You can literally just plan and build it. It's like it opens your mind up to like, wow, I can actually be living in Africa, or actually be doing business back and forth, or actually be you're working to build a crew
That's
of
the
group of
dream of
people.
all of us, right? To be able to do a high tech business, right? I'm in IT too, insurance and IT too, right? And the bottom line, you're able to do what you're doing in America, making type of money in America, and living in Africa. That's everybody's dream. But how to do that, right? We have to build the infrastructure.
Serious
We have to
business.
build infrastructure, and we have to get anybody who's not talking about infrastructure. The infrastructure is not talking to us. I hope Mr. Roosevelt calling tonight. Yeah, like that. Maybe, let me see if I can give him a call. Hold up, brother.
All right, go ahead with that. And while we got our brother muted, what I'm gonna do, family, is I'm gonna share some other clips with you. All right, so Kala is still dialing. All right, so here we go, family. AfricaForTheAfricans.org. So the main thing that I like to do is make sure that I have all of our documentation of all the things that we talk about as far as Africa tours and investment, and that's all of our tour schedule and our Black Star Pan African community. So what I do is just keep this website updated. That way, any access to information you need is right there, and it's clear. And as I mentioned, you're interested in any of the tours, all you're doing is going to the main menu and you're clicking on the link, or you can go to the front page. And once you click on any of these links, it's just a world full of information to get you prepared, and you just take your time and process through it. But that's what we have. That way, we're just giving you this clarity of schedules, dates, details, and you can just plan ahead. And my goal is to add some more to the schedule and add something else right after our Liberia journey. But for now, we're at as much journeys as we can schedule. And once we finish one or two, we'll just add a few more. And while you're on the website, any conference call information and this any kind of updates is right here on this page here. So next conference call is later on today. And that's a conference call for all of the tours that we have coming up. And these are the schedules for conference calls. So information like that is on there. As I'm navigating through AfricaForTheAfricans.org. And all of this information that's in this page right here is also on the left side of the page, whether on the main menu or whether it's the social links that we have. So right here is Africa repatriation consultation and relocation support. So for those who are looking to move and need professional advice, want to talk to me, best thing I recommend, you click on the link, you just look at the details, or just call me directly, and we just get to the point. The link just provide us a list of things that we can just work out for you, just to put things in writing and just give you an idea. And I got this WhatsApp call link created. That way you can just click on it, connect with me on WhatsApp, and send me a message. And if I can answer, I answer. If not, then I'll take the message and I'll call you back. Very soon. One of those people. Text me, send me a message, and if you don't get me, as soon as I finish whatever conversation or meeting I have or whatever work, I can communicate back with you in the next few hours or within an hour. All right, social links. All the social page with all the details, and this is all the Facebook links, all the group pages that I have on Facebook. As I just try to update all of these pages with updates of information for those who want to travel, live, do business, connect with us in Africa, from the Black Star Pan African community page to all the tour pages. This is a wonderful page of, here we go, of all of our tour groups. So this is December 2022, November 2022, and then all the way down. Right. Kala, how's it coming along?
It's going on good. I called Mr. Rosenthal. He was asleep, but he said he's going to get on. He get himself
you don't wake the man up and everything, man. The man is sleeping.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, Mr. Rosenthal. I sent you some stuff, right? I said, do you read that stuff I sent you? Yeah, these guys are so connected and everything like that. This is the sort of infrastructure stuff we need, the financing, the bullion bank, and stuff like that. This is the type of infrastructure you need. Once we basically put all this together, and it's all come together and everything like that, that's And Mr. Rosenthal, his group taught me about social responsibility. I already knew about it, right? But the Rosenthal Group, it's all about social responsibility. When you look at his, go to his website and everything, it's always about everything project they do is all how the people are going to develop, farming, agriculture, education, technology training, STEM training, everything like that. It's all about social responsibility, okay? When you have a social responsibility, right, you know, it's enough to have responsibility, but we live in a time where we don't get real adequate. We also got to get to the point where we have real press releases. We have stuff like that because you can have all the social, do all the right thing, right? And all somebody have to do is come with some smear thing, and they'll erase everything you do. You know, they say a lie spreads around the world 5 times before the truth has a chance to even put his socks on. You know, so we can do all the right things and everything like that. But the whole thing is, we're not getting the even in the Pan African world. Nobody says, you know, something, Kala Bomani, I got a big platform. Why don't I have Bomani and Kala on and talk about what they're talking about here? Let me sacrifice my minute of me babbling about Karens and all stuff like this. And and
now they're gonna be like, oh no, we can't do that. They're gonna take my shine. Both of them are smarter than me, so they're gonna outdo me. I mean, it's sad the way people look at that stuff, and I'm like, you know, that's the wrong way to look at things. I mean, we're never gonna get anywhere like that. But a lot of times, but I can't, you know, sometimes, you know, you can't get invitations, and I'm like, this what's so hurtful that
isn't Pan supposed to be unity? Pan means many acting as one.
And I'm telling you, brother, the thing they're gonna look at is always that, oh, they're gonna outshine me because they're involved in this and they're about this.
And
yeah, we're about that life, and maybe, you know, we're maybe not maybe. I'm sure we're a lot more serious than you are, but at the same time too, that's that that don't mean that we can't connect and do things together. That don't mean that, you know, we don't need your platform to you know to share with your audience what we're doing in Ghana and Liberia. You know, especially if you're not going to Africa. But some of these folks, I'm telling you, some of these folks, that's all they look at, man. Everything with them is a competition. Now, when people reach out to me and say, Bomani, can you give me some advice on this? Can you help me start something, a business on? You know, as a brother and being socially responsible, you know, you say, you know, brother, let's talk. I got your back. You know, I can share certain things with you. You know what I mean? And things like that. And you know, but not all of us are like that. But at the same time, too. And me, the reason I'm like that because I'm into many different things, and we're not looking to this, you know, one or two sets of business, but you would like to have people in business, the same business as you, and you would like for us to work together. But sometimes that doesn't actually work like that. People just end up being jealous. Like,
yeah, well, like I said, you know, the Negro in us comes out. You know, the Negroes gonna come out. Oh, I ain't gonna them niggas shine, man. You know, them niggas shine, but what the hell out here? You know, it's all about themselves and their platforms. Like I said, the bottom line is this. You know, we can't
you
tell.
want to answer this question before we go? My brother want to know why don't we stream earlier. The main thing I would tell people directly is that I'm working all day long. Like,
same thing with me.
As soon as the morning shift starts, I got to get up and, you know, I've got to work. And so by the time I'm finished, it's late, and that's the only time I can even get on. But we don't do live streams really.
I can't see myself sitting on it for 2 hours and money making business hours, right? Between the 8 and 5 or 6 business hours, right? I'm sitting on the line talking to a bunch of Negroes about nothing, you know? I can't do that. That's unproductive, you know? So the time we can get on the live is at night, you know?
The late night shift. That's like us putting overtime.
Now, and let me tell you something, right? If YouTube was a black-owned platform and I was making money, yeah, I'd do it, you know? Okay, I'm generating money. If I'm going to build an audience, shit, I try to build $1 million audience platform. But I'm not going to give YouTube and these white-owned platforms any freaking, you know what I'm saying? I'll be a hypocrite.
But some people have given up their career so they can be YouTubers.
Yeah, and I'm like that. You can't be a YouTuber, right? If that's your main money, and say you are a revolutionary Pan-African nationalist, you know, you can't do it. You know, I'm sorry. You know, you got to pick one or the other, right? And if you are going to be a YouTuber, just say, yo, look, you know, I believe everybody should go to Africa, but I can't move my platform to a black-owned platform. You know, I want you to move your whole family to Africa, quit your job, right? But I can't move my social media onto a black-owned platform, you know? I can't freaking use the Black African Infrastructure Organization social network, right?
And that determines to see how people are serious. Some of us are not
serious. That tells me serious. The fact that you would rather spend all your time, every time you type on Facebook and Twitter, you're making these motherfuckers money. You know, every time you press that key and send a post, you're making the money. The advertisers are making billions of dollars right now, you know? So how can we talk about getting black dollars and black things, and you're on the same platforms? That's still what would it be said that we had a network, and we had like a network of dozens of different social media platforms where our message is getting across, we're communicating everything, and we're generating ad revenues ourselves and everything. How are you going to talk about nation building and building Africa? You can't even build a social media platform with your own people. You know, it's like cut the nonsense out. Black people are in America because this is where the jobs, the money, and the opportunity is, right? And you disagree with that, you show by your example. Either you move to the continent and build it, right? Then you can talk, or you move all your shit to the black-owned side like that. You know, like that Dr. Campbell's doing, right? Nobody's supporting them. But we say we're not ready for that yet. So we're honest about it, right? My business here, but mine's business here, right? We're not ready for that transition yet, okay? Right? We're being realistic. We're being Pan-African realist, right? Not Pan-African enthusiasts. The Pan-African enthusiasts, right? The one thing about Pan-African enthusiasts I hate is this. They always want to risk somebody else to risk their shit up, but they won't do. You know, if you're a Pan-African, even people that go to the continent, right, live, they don't tell you, oh, you got to come over here with me and whatnot, because they know it's hard, you know? They know they don't got it together, but we're not together. We're not building investment clubs, susus. We're helping each other and stuff like that, you know? All that unity, black unity goes out the door. It seems like we leave America, all that's up. So in other words, you're only black when you're dealing with white folks. You're only black when, this is the same thing that goes on in America. Listen to this and listen to this carefully, right? Black people never rally in unity when black people kill other black people, right? But let a white cop kill a black person. Oh, suddenly, hands across, Black Lives Matter. We're unified. I felt unity and everything, right? But at the same time, while you're doing this, bullets are flying all over the community. So you're only unified when you're making some stand against white people, right? That tells me it's vanity. It's fake. It's not real. You know? There's an old saying, right? It says, you judge a man's character is judged by when he does something for somebody that can't do nothing back for him. When we do this police brutality, everything like that, we know this, we're going to get likes, shares, and views, everything like that. Oh, man, I did a whole series on race hustlers, race soldiers, everything. My views, I did this show on Karen, man. Every week I'm getting 1,000 new followers and everything like that. Blah, 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 blah. When we start doing stuff about positive stuff in our community, black people winning, those kids that are going to HBCUs and record numbers. Does anybody talk about that? No, because it doesn't excite people, you know? It's not titillating enough. This one shows me the hypocrisy. If everything you do is negative and everything like that, and you never show positive, you never show black people out there, the good side of black America, people go out there raising their families, the guy, the father that goes out there after he gets off work to make his son's football practice and want to watch a thing, the kids, the record numbers of kids who are proud of their kids going off to college and sitting at their graduation, stuff like that, you know, the record numbers of black women and young black men getting into STEM fields and everything like that, you know. But you want to just throw my people, my culture, and black America down the wolves. These are the wrong type of people leading, influencing the Pan-African movement. Okay, hold on.
Yes, family. Kala is taking a pause for the action. It looked like he's getting to connect with one of our good brothers that's going to be joining the show. So let's see, give him a few seconds and see if that's the connection.
I guess he'll call me back. He tried to call me back, but I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say tonight is this, right? We have people who are using Pan-Africanism as a way to attack black America. You know? That's not social responsibility. What you always do is this: you always got to be behind your people. You know, you see your people doing well. There he is. There he is. There he is. There he is, the Don Dada, Mr. Rosenthal.
Yeah, good evening.
How you doing, Mr. Rosenthal?
Oh, very good.
Right. Greetings.
Yes.
So we're just talking about, you're gonna give us some updates on the bullion bank in Uganda and the prospects for Liberia and stuff like that. You know, just break it down for us.
Well, I went to Uganda and stayed there 14 days. Uganda is a very rich country. The possibilities are outstanding and unlimited in Uganda. Uganda is relatively a small country, but a lot of natural resources. To give you an idea of what I mean by there are a lot of opportunities there, the GDP of Uganda is roughly between 38 to 40 billion dollars, and they're loaded with resources. But if you compare Uganda to the next country that's connected to it, um, Kenya, Kenya has hardly any natural resources, but they have very smart universities, and the GDP in Kenya is $116 billion, and it's steady climbing at a fast rate. So, with us going to Uganda, we feel within 18 months, Uganda's GDP will catch up with Kenya's GDP, but there's a vast difference between 40 billion and 116 billion. But what will carry Uganda's GDP up so high is they have a lot of crude oil in the ground. It's presently being extracted. So if we build an oil refinery and add 5 subordinate companies to the oil refinery, that is one of the things that will tremendously boost the GDP of that country up. And also, we will deal with agriculture, agro-business, and export a lot of agro products to India, the Middle East, Europe, and the United States. And those are two of the greatest factors. But the biggest factor they have in all is the tremendous amount of gold that has been recently discovered in the northeastern part of Uganda. Some people estimate it in the trillions of dollars, but let's say they only have $1 trillion worth of gold, and we leverage that 5 times through trading programs. We would instantly within a year, have $5 trillion to deal with, to redeveloping their economic development programs. China is trying to put up an automobile assembly plant in Uganda. So things and life is changing so fast in Uganda that they're going to hardly be able to keep up with it. But within 2 years, we strongly feel Uganda could be a trade center and have an industrial have an industrial park composed of manufacturing, assembly plants, and uh, and processing facilities. Those 3 things would generate over 500,000 good-paying jobs. So, with good-paying jobs and nice housing, you create a middle class, and with a strong middle class, it can tremendously go very fast. So we are very happy with the progress and the cooperation of Uganda. Included in all of that, Uganda has some medical doctors that has gone to Dubai, and Dubai is working with Uganda in creating a world-class medical city. In this medical city, it would have all types of clinics, uh, a male clinic, a woman's clinic, a children's clinic, cancer clinics, and every part of the eye will have its own separate clinic. In addition to those multi clinics, it will have mobile medical units to go out into the rural area to facilitate the health need of the rural people. So we're very happy to see this going in Uganda, and Microsoft has also agreed to work with some of the modern facilities that would be placed into the hospitals and the medical city. So you can see from just those advancements with agriculture, industrialization, the gold bank, the bullion bank, that you and the strategic comprehensive management of Uganda's natural resources will quickly boost Uganda up to the same financial level that you would see in Germany, uh, France.
That's great. That's great. That's great. And you say you meet with Musa Museveni yet? You met with him, right?
I met with his whole staff, his minister of finance, his the whole staff of the finance, the minister of agriculture, and we were able to organize 2,600 small scale miners who have agreed to sell their gold to us and get in the economic development programs. Now, there are some reports have come out, and you can Google it, say that Uganda has up to 12 to 13 trillion dollars of in-ground asset of gold alone.
Yeah, I
So
heard that.
when you look at the gold that Uganda has, I don't believe they have $13 trillion worth, but even if they have $1 to $2 trillion worth, it can leverage that that whole East Africa will put in an international finance center in Uganda. We can put capital markets, which would consist of commodities exchange, mutual funds, stocks, etc. It could very quickly boost Uganda's to a very high level at a world financial center. That means people in East Africa would not have to go to Europe, the United States, or China begging for money. Instead, the people from those areas would be coming to Africa to the commodities exchange to get natural resources.
And also option trading, right? We got to do option trading.
Well, option trading is a small component of capital markets. It will be available, but will also be cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency and crypto coins, crypto tokens, and other assets. The advantage of Uganda over Bitcoin is not backed by any assets. Uganda's coins will be backed by gold, which will give them a higher standard. And if they elect to change from fiat money, and fiat money is defined as any money that's not backed by assets, such as the US dollar, the British pound, etc. Uganda's money, if they elect to do so, can be backed by gold, and it would be stronger than the US dollar on the international currency exchange.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I like all the progress that I'm hearing. Let me ask you a controversial question. Um, what do you think about the president? Was it Texas, whatever, in DR Congo, where says he's letting Joe Biden in America, him in Zambia, have full access to the coltan? You know, what do you think about that? What's your position?
Um, Congo is the richest country in the world. There's no country in the world that is as rich in natural resources as Congo. If you look at what the World Bank, uh, the United Nations report has shown, that Congo has $24 trillion of known in-ground assets. Our report, uh, coupled with geological reports conducted by us, shows that Congo has $38 trillion of known in-ground assets. So if you look at the GDP of the United States, or if you look at the GDP of all of Europe, you would get less than $30 trillion of the GDP of all of those. All of European GDP would probably come out somewhere under 30 trillion dollars, and the United States GDP would come under $30 trillion. So we would see that Congo is richer than all of the countries in Europe combined. And if you break the United States and compare the GDP of the United States compared to in-ground assets of Uganda, the in-ground assets of Congo would be superior. So I think the president of Congo can be independent in his thinking if he used his natural resources to his advantages. He could be just as financial powerful as Biden is.
Right, right. Yeah, this had me a little concerned. I never asked you about that. I wanted to get your take on. I know you're friends with him and stuff like that, so I didn't really want to go against what you guys what we're doing with the gold bullion bank or nothing like that. So I'll just let it ride.
Well, I can give you another example that has startled me is when Ukraine came to America, uh, they had a special session for Congress. The president of Ukraine addressed the Congress, and they instantly approved billions of dollars
right,
uh, for Ukraine. But when in the infinite wisdom of President Biden, he saw fit to invite all of the African presidents to the United States when the Congress was not in session, when the Congressional Black Caucus was not present. So, what he did talk about is what he would like to see in Africa. He could not allocate monies to Africa without it being approved by Congress, who were not in session when he invited them to America. I personally thought there may be that may could have been planned a lot better. It would be very smart of the United States to invite the African leaders during the third week of September when the Congressional Black Caucus is in session. Then they could go to all of the congressional members and give their concerns, and then they would be looked at differently because Congress could instantly approve or disapprove much aid for the African countries. You cannot allocate monies at a significant level like you're doing in Ukraine to the whole continent, 54 countries of Africa, without Congress being in session. Now, when Russia jumped on Ukraine, this administration saw that as being very wrong. When Rwanda go to Congo and loot, rape, steal, and kill, it's virtually ignored by the United States. So you must ask the question, is racism playing a factor in this process? A white European come to America who hasn't done anything for America, but we know without 400 years of free labor from slave, America would be a third world country.
Yeah.
With, without the labor and the input of black people, if we today take all the black folks out of the United States, it would be a chaotic condition here because the finance and the monies that black people spend is more than the country of France has, and it's almost equal to Germany. So black people play a very important role in America that's not quite appreciated. And then on the other hand, if black people in America would pool their monies together, we could buy 2 or 3 states.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if we decide to buy Georgia and South Carolina, we have enough capital to go in and buy that land, all of that land, the trillions of dollars that's enjoyed and spent by black people. And once we would do that, the whites who would agree to assimilate would be much better off, and those who didn't like it could do like they do in major cities. You know, they could move out to the suburbs or whatever they wanted to do. But those options, black people have those options now. Uh, just like your dollar stores, your Kentucky Fried Chickens, your Church's Chickens, infesting our neighborhood and taking the dollars out of it. We could actually own those type franchise if we organize and decide to do so.
Yep. 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 Great analysis. Ask you something else before I move to Liberia. Um, so you say you're playing the president of Congo, play it by ear, and also remember something with this thing. Like you said, Congress was in session. Not only that, Congress in session, right? It didn't even happen at an official government building. It happened at the African American Historic Museum. I thought that was real disrespectful. You got 49 black heads of state, and you couldn't even do it in Congress or the White House or whatever venue that could have. They could have had it in the Pentagon, but they
Well,
had
he did invite some of the presidents
to the
uh,
White House.
to the White House and to dinners, and he was very hospitable to those people, and he extended a lot of his staff to meet and greet those people, which was very good. And the Capitol Police escorted them with the same type dignitary escorts that they would do any other leaders of foreign countries. But the only problem that I saw is Congress was not in session during the time they were there. Let me explain what could have happened. If Congress had been in session, they could have discussed over 20 years of unjust sanctions on Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Let me say this, right? Do you know Raphael Warnock, right? The only person, the only group body of government that can lift those things is the Senate, right? The U.S. Senate is the most powerful government body in the world, right? In history, U.S. Senate, right? The U.S. Senate put the sanctions on; they can lift it. Raphael Warnock holds the key vote. Now I've been saying this on social media now for how much, like what, 2 weeks now, Bomani, and nobody else on social media besides myself, right, has talked about this, right? I said you got black people talking about police reform, reparations, everything. right there. We always been a people of principle. Just like we, you remember the apartheid. We rallied against apartheid. It was on principle. You know, we wanted apartheid gone. Those sanctions against Zimbabwe, right, shouldn't have been brought up, right? Raphael Warnock could say, right, he got 6 years, right? And more likely he'll probably win again unless the Democrats find somebody to unseat him, whatever, run him. He could run as independent, probably still win. So let's say he got 12 years, right? He could say, I'm not going to caucus with the the Democrats, right? And I'll caucus with Republicans. What I want is this. I want the sanctions thing or whatever bill you're trying to pass is not going to get my vote. I'll vote. I'll abstain from voting or whatever. I'll vote against it, right? That's why. See how with the Republican, the MAGA people did to McCarthy? They got him to capitulate everything. 14 votes. That's what I'm talking about. Raphael Warnock and the Congressional Black Caucus, whatever like that, can basically say, hold this up and say, we're not doing anything until those sanctions are thing. But I have not heard anybody in the media, the punditry, black sphere, talk about the sanctions on Zimbabwe. Why do you think that is?
Well, let's look at the root of those sanctions. Uh, you and I have discussed Zimbabwe just between the two of us several
Yeah,
times.
right.
I was a personal financial advisor to Robert Mugabe.
Yeah, I remember.
Robert Mugabe put a huge sum of money in Credit Suisse with a number, and if you don't want people to trace your money, uh, it's almost possible to put it in Credit Suisse and just get a number for your bank account rather than for your name to show up as it being your personal monies. And the only way people would be able to tell what your account is or how much money you had is you would give them that number so that they could do a proof of funds or check the amount of money that's in your account. Well, Robert Mugabe did not share his Credit Suisse bank account number with anyone. And when he passed, uh, a lot of his money is frozen in Credit Suisse. And until somebody appear with that number, it will stay there forever. But the root of Zimbabwe's problem is the black land belonged to the Zimbabweans. It was their land.
Mm-hmm.
The white English people came in and slaughtered the black people. They killed them. Uh, if you look at, they even named the country Rhodesia after the racist white man named Rhodes, and he left a lot of funds. And you call those folks Rhodes scholars, the Rhodes Fund, and people look up to people like Bill Clinton and his wife received some of those funds, and they are considered at the prestigious club as Rhodes scholars. But when the white people took the land, they killed, murdered, raped, and did all type of atrocity to black people in Zimbabwe. And then they had gotten up to such a large proportion of the land till the liberation people who freed the land and beat the white people up to take their land back.
Yeah.
Uh, then Mugabe was elected as president, and what he did was the land reform. He took the land back from the white people who had illegally and committed all types of crimes to acquire the land and gave it to his rightful owner, to the black people who were born and lived in Zimbabwe. So Great Britain got very angry and they requested that the United States slap sanctions on Zimbabwe. So when a country have sanctions on you, you're not allowed to use the SWIFT systems. You're not allowed to use the international banking transactions. So for your international trade, and Zimbabwe was known as the bread basket of the world because their land is so rich. You can just literally throw watermelon seeds out there and grow you big watermelon without fertilizer. So they were crippled by those sanctions. So if the Congress were in session and the good ambassador from Zimbabwe and Washington, D.C. had arranged for different appointments with black and white congressmen, uh, that would have made a tremendous difference and an impact in Africa. Even Congo, with the war they're having with Rwanda. If you Google what country has the most coltan in the world, and coltan is a rare earth element that's used to make circuit boards for cell phones, flat screen computers, GPS system, and any gadget that have electronic circuit boards in it. It would list Rwanda as being a major contributor to the world in selling coltan. But a fact check will show you that Rwanda have very little or no coltan. They're stealing it from Congo. So
Yeah,
if Ukraine is a major concern to America, who have not contribute a damn thing to the United States, why shouldn't Congo be a major concern to the United States? One of the things that we can go back and look at when the United States was losing the war to Japan in World War II, many of the congressional members who were white thought we were going to lose the war. So some gold was transported to the Philippines just in the event the United States lost that war. It's still there. You still have Marines guarding it. But the United States did not go to New Mexico or Arizona and get weak Ukrainian. They went to Kabasa in Congo and got very strong uranium and made that atomic bomb that they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to win that war. So there are a lot of reasons why United States, if it had not been for that bomb, uh, Japan was going to possibly defeat America. One of the Japanese general said that he didn't want his troops to put feet on the ground in America because he considered Americans as being crazy, that Americans would take shotguns and rifles and regular citizens would start killing the Japanese because they had too many guns in America, that he would have to drop bombs on America and destroy America with kamikaze airplanes so he could win the war. But that bomb dropping on the industrial center of Japan, cutting off their gas, electric, and industrialization was the key to winning that war in Japan. But if it had not been for the uranium, some argue that we could have gotten uranium out of New Mexico, some of the American countries, American states that have uranium, but we didn't take a chance. We knew that the most potent uranium came out of Congo. So America went to Congo and got the uranium, built that bomb, and was very successful on wiping out those two major cities in Japan. So there's a lot more reason Africa consists of at least 60% of the world natural resources that's needed for the future. Uh, Even those Tesla cars, Tesla's all over Africa buying lithium to do lithium batteries, although they said they come up with some type of sodium battery that's better than the lithium battery. But if it is, nobody's using it.
And what do you think about the fact that Zimbabwe and Nigeria and one more country said they're not going to export unprocessed lithium right now? They're going to basically halt the process of export of unprocessed lithium unless they get a value added. You know.
Yeah, I think they should stop it and put value addition to all of their resources and stop shipping out uh, natural resources in its ore formation that comes up out of the ground. Uh, Look at what the Jews have done and what De Beers have done with diamonds. They get uncut diamonds from Africa, and if you go on 47th Street on New York, which is considered as a diamond district, 90% of those diamonds are coming out of Africa. Lately, some of the diamonds before the war in Ukraine, it came out of Russia because Russia is loaded with diamonds. But the largest diamonds in the world are coming out of Angola and Namibia. Some of the clearest diamonds in the world coming out of Central African Republic. And then when you look at the yellow people in the world, uh, Japanese, Chinese, Hawaiian, they like yellow diamonds. And those colored diamonds coming out of countries like Mozambique, Botswana, uh, Zimbabwe, and a few other countries. So I think they should do value addition to all of those things. You for what you pay $500 for an uncut diamond. Once the Jews get it, or they send it to New York, China, or India, and it's cut and polished and placed in a ring, that $500 diamond that you bought uncut could be worth five to $10,000, depends on the size and clarity of it. So value addition would tremendously boost up the economy of the African countries.
Exactly right. Why is it so hard for, like I said, and like I said, I want to thank you because I saw videos of the videos of you in the Congo and the way people were flocking around you, and it just made me proud, you know, that you and I, African American slave descendants and everything, and we're having such an impact. You're having such an impact on the continent that makes me proud. You know that the bullion bank and these things, and it seems to me that all these things you've been telling me for like 12 years, right? Before we started to Africa, you know, and I'm saying to myself, it takes an African American man with a background in banking and housing and everything to go to the continent and basically do this, right? And we're not saying this is no slight on our African brothers and sisters, right? But the African American, somebody like Mr. Rosenthal has a lot of tremendous knowledge about financing, banking, and stuff like that. And we saw that manifest itself with the opening of the bullion bank in Angola and several places like that, and hopefully in Uganda and Liberia. And also, you said that the mining contracts. Now, I'm working on, in my group, the BAO, putting together miners in Liberia, a whole mining, because all the miners, we got hundreds of them, gold miners, So we have people on the ground in Liberia and whatnot. And I just want to bring them a program, be like, hey, look, this is what we want to do. And they'll come, I know they'll come on board. They're all individual miners, like gold mining, we got diamond mining in Nimba. We got plenty of places, plenty of people in our network that do gold mining and stuff like that. So what's the challenges as far as like Liberia?
Well, Liberia has many challenges. One of the greatest challenges that Liberia has is its educational institutions. There's a very low percentage of literacy in Liberia compared to the population as a whole. If you go to a country like Kenya, you would find their educational systems are superior to most of the surrounding countries. That's why people from Tanzania Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, and Congo come into Kenya and use Kenyan brokers to sell their natural resources, gold, diamonds, etc. But Kenya has no gold or diamond. That's not unique to the world because if you look at the UK, the UK don't have one drop of oil, but BP is one of the world's largest and most leading oil companies because they have management skills. So when we look at Liberia, they are actually more, you have 20 times more chance of getting rich as a black person in Liberia than you do in the United States. It's a
So I know that
small, huh?
there's plenty of opportunity. Yeah, there's a lot of people over there getting rich.
Yeah, it's a lot of opportunities. So when you look at how do you get rich in a country like Liberia, being an African American, well, what's missing over there is skills like you have, insurance. Very few houses have insurance on it, but you have to be able to scale the insurance down to meet their income levels.
Right.
Uh, when you look at Liberia, Liberia has a GDP under $4 billion. In America, you have many companies that earns more money than the whole GDP of the country of Liberia. It's maybe 3.7, 3.8, 3.5, depending on who makes the assessment of Liberia. But no one will come up with $4 billion for the GDP of the entire country. Now, Liberia has oil as well. Let's say if we apply the same calculus to Liberia that we do to Uganda and stop letting American companies rape Liberia for their oil and put up an oil refinery and under that oil refinery we build a company of asphalt so that they could do the roads and it would be able for you to get all over Liberia. Then they could have one of the world's largest steel mill could be in Liberia. Let's say we put up another company under the oil refinery and manufacture fertilizers and chemicals, paints and all the other jet fuel, gasoline, diesel, kerosene, all of those things that are made from petroleum. Uh, we could double the GDP of Liberia's economy in just 2 years. It would go from 3.5, 3.7 to 8 billion dollars could be acquired in 3 years. And if we go farther and put a rubber processing plant up, knowing that Liberia has over 380,000 hectares of rubber trees, uh, and put a processing plant up and manufacture automobile tires and shoes, tennis and industrial shoes, boots, and all of those things that are made from rubber. Liberia would go from 3.5 to 3.7 to $12 billion GDP in 2 years. Then you would say, well, if that's possible, why aren't they doing it? Well, they don't have people with your background in insurance. Insurance is more than just if your house burned down, if your car
Right.
burned down. The investments in insurance is some of the biggest in the United States.
Right.
When you do
People don't know.
major, huh?
People don't know that insurance basically rules the world. Insurance is everything. Without insurance, you can't ship stuff. You can't have a plane up in the air. Everything requires insurance. And stuff like that. Insurance basically is solvency. Insurance basically buys up assets and stuff like that. It always has to be solved, stuff like that. So insurance is very, very important, and mandating insurance, it has to be really important. So I understand when I learned the insurance business, I understood now I understand how nations are built. Your unemployment, that's insurance. People don't realize that. That's insurance. You're paying into it, right? And then when you get sick, whatever like that, out of work, you're getting paid for a certain amount, period certain, Your pension fund is insurance, right? Your pension fund loans out money to guarantor. And I want you to talk about the idea of it, because I know some Liberians are going to watch this, right? What is the meaning of a guarantor? Having a guarantor. Can you explain that?
I'll be happy to. This big ballpoint pen I have is worth less than 15 cents. Maybe a dime if you buy a bunch of them. But if I put $1 billion insurance wrap on that ballpoint pen, its value then become $1 billion. The pen is not worth $1 billion, but the insurance guaranteeing that pen is worth $1 billion makes it the value of it $1 billion. So in banking, people can come up with a scam. Let's say come up with some penny stock that's not worth anything. On the real value of it in today's market, something could have a value of less than $1,000. But if you put an insurance wrap on it, and then you create instruments based on that insurance wrap, you can leverage that and monetize it and get yourself $1 billion for something that's worth nothing. So when people say, well, you're just making money off of paper, so let's analyze that and see what we're talking about. The paper would be such things as bank guarantees, standby letters of credit, letters of credit, stock, debentures. You do futures. You you can do all type of things that become valuable when you have a guarantee behind it. They make guarantees very simple so you can understand what the guarantors are doing. Let's say you want to buy a car and you don't have a job or no money. So you go to the dealership and tell him you want to buy a car. So he will tell you, okay, your mother has a job bringing in $50,000 a year. So if she will co-sign for you, we will give you this $50,000 car. So your mother comes down and she co-signs for you. So you sign for the car. It's your car. It's in your name, but nobody care whether you live or die, pay or don't pay, because if if the notes are not paid, they're going to your mother for the money because she has the job. So she's guaranteeing that you will pay for it by being a co-signer. So virtually, that's what it means. When China comes to America, not to America, but when China comes to Africa and dump billions of dollars into Africa, until 2016, the Africans were forced to sign what's called a sovereign guarantee. In that sovereign guarantee, they put up natural resources. Let's say they go to Kenya and tell Kenya, you want infrastructure, you want roads. These roads and infrastructure is going to cost you $9 billion. So Kenya said, okay, we don't have that much natural resources, but we have some of the most fertile land in the country. We have precious stones, but we don't have diamonds. We have forestry with all type of trees. So you sign over your trees, you sign over your precious stone, you sign over your land, and for the sovereign guarantee to get the $9 billion from China. So China don't care if you can't pay the money back. They want the land, they want the precious stones, and they want whatever natural gas or natural resources you have. So if you don't pay it back, they take the natural resources. And then you say, well, China is wrong. Well, let's think about who signed that agreement when you want to cast right and wrong on the deal. But no one is going to just give you $9 billion for free. Something has to be paid for it. So there are all forms of guarantees that comes out in many different forms, but that's basically what insurance is. Let's say that if I take out $1 million insurance on my life, and as long as I live, it's worthless. But the day I die, that $1 million can go to my beneficiaries, whoever, however I decide to leave it to a wife, a children, a friend, whatever I decide to leave it to, can reap the benefit. So that is just one form of finance that we are very weak on. Uh, Black people are not weak financially. We just don't connect the dots and come together and use it. If we take the Urban League, the National Council of Negro Women's, the NAACP, and the National Association of blah, 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 they cannot raise $10 billion in a year. But if we get Reverend John W.L. Smith in Alabama, we get Reverend Williams out of Mississippi, we get T.D. Jakes out of Texas. Each one of those individuals by themselves can raise $10 million in a year and build a $10 million church. They can do it. There's a beautiful church in Jackson, Mississippi that's worth over $10 million. There are many churches in Atlanta, in Georgia, that are worth over $40 million. There are churches in Texas are worth close to $100 million. So it's not that Black folks can't come together and do tremendous things. We just don't do it. It's not that we can't own. Let's say if Black people decided that one church wanted to put up an automobile care clinic and get all their oil changed, their cars tuned up, that one operation could generate over $500,000, $500,000 in profit per year by just using its members to get tune-ups and oil changes. So there's so much we can do. So when we start looking at Africa and saying, well, why don't they do ABC? Then let's look at us. Why don't we do ABC? But the insurance rules the world. When we look at the collapse in 2007, when Obama printed up $850 billion and bailed the automobile industry and the white banks out of financial ruin, what would have happened if he had put 50 billion of that 850 billion in the Black community for economic development? So when I look at factors like that, that's when I see racism.
You're absolutely right. In hindsight, because we were all, oh, he give him time. We saw, give him a second term. We gave him a second term, right? And he went out for the LGBTQ, and the illegal aliens, the DACA. So we put our faith in this man, and he didn't deliver. And also, he extended sanctions on Zimbabwe, as a gift to Britain. He thought that the Britain would would stop with the Brexit, would stay in the European Union. And so he said, "Oh, I'll do a favor for you. I'll extend those sanctions on Zimbabwe." So however people judge Obama and everything like that, but as far as like a Pan-Africanism, he gets an F. And by the way, Mr. Rosenthal, on our Pan-African report card, you get an A plus. You get an A
Well,
plus
thank you.
Pan-African report card. We'll talk about
But
that.
but going back to Obama, I think Obama was one of the greatest presidents that has ever lived in America. If you look at how they came out of that economic crisis
Oh yeah,
and
I'll
how
give him credit for that. Because and also he handled that oil spill. That his first term was off the chain. I give it to him. That he came from the brink of nothing, man. Right, and he didn't have a Secretary of Treasury. Remember that? He had to get all that and whatnot. And then all of a sudden the cash for clunkers started working. The automobiles started working. He did banking reform. He did a lot of stuff that basically pulled that the country back into the red. I remember at the time the economy started growing again. I mean, the stock market was down to 4,000 points, and then it got up to like 15,000, right? I was like, wow, And so, what he did was really miraculous. Those first few years, the first 2 years of office, he did really good, and he got the healthcare, the Affordable Care Act done. So he
but
did good.
if you printed up $850 billion, you could get all of that to work too.
Yeah. Well, he had the Tea Party. Remember the Tea Party? The
Yes.
Tea Party was out there talking about he's spending, spending, spending. Now they didn't say anything when George W. Bush, right, had those tax cuts, right, and the tax cuts, and they basically started the war in Iraq, and that's what blew the deficit right there, those tax cuts and those and the war in Iraq, and also they were spending. Also, Halliburton, all these people, they were making billions of dollars off the war in Iraq and whatnot. There was all kinds of spending in the Republicans, right? And as soon as Obama gets in office, right? Oh wow, we're gonna talk about spending now. And Republicans, you had these Republicans, they call rhinos. Republicans, the name only, the Mitt Romney types and whatnot. These people, Trent Lotz and all these people were trying to get rich, all this money they were spending on Bechtel and Halliburton and everything like that. Everybody was getting rich off the Iraq war, So.
Well, for the last 70 years, America has enjoyed being in war for the wealth that comes back. And if you do an analysis of the Ukraine war, who's actually benefiting from it? You give Ukraine billions of dollars, you say, well, that's good. They're helping Ukraine out. Well, when they have genocides in Africa, why don't they help the African out if we are humanitarian people? When we see police just literally killing black people, why don't we spend money to create a better legal system? To the when you said it, United States is number one in incarcerating people, and black people suffer the biggest atrocity of it. So if I decide to come where you are and just take a 9mm and kill you, then they put me in jail and lock me up like an animal. That's not helping me, you, your family, or nobody. The justice system should be changed where if you commit a crime, somebody should make you have a job to pay for that crime and put pressures on you to make you compensate whoever. If you stole something, work and pay the person back. Uh, those type things would be a better reform than just caging people in jails and letting them sit there 5, 10, 20 years. That's barbaric. That has no social, economic, or financial benefit to anybody. And most of the people who are incarcerated are not a threat to society.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to just lock him up in jail. Make the joker pay for his crime. He made a crime, let him. And then, to a degree, there's nothing wrong with socialization. Prisons are socialization. There are private prisons who benefit on locking people up. Every time you see someone build a new jail or new prison, the judges incarcerate more people on purposely to feed those things. So discrimination and unfair justice systems are the two factors that's holding black and brown people down in America.
Yep. That's why we have to build this bridge to Africa.
Yeah, well said.
The gold bullion bank and the prospects for spreading it in Liberia and other countries.
Well, the biggest need in most African countries, and it's more prevalent in Liberia than others, is management skills. Uh, you can have all of those natural resources, but let's say at your house, if you have $20 million of gold in your backyard and you don't have a pick, a shovel, or no type of equipment, how do you get it up?
Yeah, true.
Let's say if you don't have good credit good credit score and you can't buy the equipment, then you will die with the gold under the ground in your backyard because you can't get it up.
Right. That's a challenge. That's
Yeah,
why,
so
like I said, I believe Liberia got a lot of educated Liberians in the United States. They want to come back home, and you got a lot of African Americans. Between those two, I believe that Liberia could build its finance. I talked about a stock exchange for Liberia, a commodities exchange, and everything like that. A better financial institutions and stuff like that. And like I said, what's holding Liberia back is the fact that the best and brightest are not in the country; they're overseas, and we have to have some way to bring those people back to Liberia for the economy to grow. I always said that the most important thing is human capital. That's the most important thing.
well, yeah, the human capital is the most important thing, but strategic management of those natural resources is what's really needed. Although Liberia has diamonds, but you don't have one jewelry company. They just dig up the diamonds and they sell them. Uh, there were some Liberians who was putting beautiful rocks in their yard because uh, some of them would have a light glow to them. Uh, they just look different from other rocks, so they put them around flower beds. So Sam Cooper
Yeah,
decided he would get some of those rocks and see what was in those rocks. Why did they like them? Found out that those rocks were loaded with lithium.
yeah, he showed me.
Yeah, you can take uh, two negative wires and tie it to a small uh, low kilowatt light bulb and connect it to those rocks, and the light bulb will light up. Uh, so you know, Sam also, his parents died and left him some land. I went to visit him one time in Nigeria. We went
I
and
remember.
looked at his land, and I took some of the stones that I found on his land, took him to Ghana, and it was high grade iron ore. So Liberia could have the world's largest uh, steel mill by taking that iron and processing it. Uh, but what you look at, who Liberia is making rich today is Firestone and Bridgestone. They are buying all of that rubber from Liberia, and if Liberia would uh, process its own rubber and make tennis shoes and automobile tires, the rubber industry is so big. Everything you look at has rubber in it.
Hmm.
Uh, Automobile, the airplanes, industrializations, factories. It's hard. It would be difficult to live without the use of rubber. And for the last 100 years, people have been trying to make synthetic rubber to replace automobile tires, but so far nothing has worked that work as doable as the rubber in automobile tires. So for the rest of our lifetime, Liberia could put up those processing plants, but we would need skilled people who are trained in chemistry, who are trained in mechanical engineering, who are trained in money management, marketing, insurance, uh, sales, and all of those.
Yeah,
Those
that's what we're trying to put together in the BAO. I'm gathering all those people that got all those skills in our organization. You know, I'm trying to gather them all, and we have all those people you're talking about. I introduced to your guy. What's his name? Julius. What's his name? Mr. Julius. You know,
Yeah,
yeah, I got introduced to him, and we got several other people, and we got Elder Overton and this other guy that we're building a technology school in Liberia and stuff like that. So yeah, like Liberia. One thing I do with Liberians when the young people, I give the credit, but those young people there want to learn. You know, they kids, they go to school, they're attending their own fire. So all they need is an opportunity. You know, and people taking a chance on them. You know, I give the Liberian, the youth in Liberia want a better life. They want a future. They know that hard work and education is the way to go. We in America, a lot of our people, black and white, we got everything so comfortable here. We don't think about nothing like this. But in those countries right there, you know, when you bring the opportunity to them, they're gonna run with it. You know, we're gonna have all kinds of people ready to go to schools and classes. That's what we want to build in Ghana. That's what we want to build in Liberia. You know, education. You know, technology.
well, the opportunities in Liberia are much greater than they are in Ghana. Uh, but critically needed is management skills, not rich people.
Okay.
There's a school teacher who I often admire. She retired in Baton Rouge and moved to Ghana, and she started making soap in her house. And today, that soap is spread to several countries, and her gross earning is over $1 million a year.
Mm.
You can get everything you need to make soap out of Walmart. It's not a special secret to it. The dye, the perfume, the base, everything you need can come right out of Walmart. Uh, but over there, you would have to import those products. But there's room to make a living in everything you can think of in Africa, because one of the most disheartening thing I've seen in Liberia is every restaurant you go in, you see Hunt's and Heinz tomato ketchup,
Yeah.
and you see hot sauce coming from Louisiana, Tabasco sauce. Well, they have the same little bitty red peppers growing wild in Liberia that grows uh, wild in Louisiana that they make Tabasco sauce out of, or they make hot sauce out of, and tomatoes will grow anywhere that you make tomato ketchup out of. So those skills in management is but what we need is not one individual deciding, I'm going to go to Liberia. Now, you know, Celeste is back in Angola right now.
Right.
Uh, she stayed a while in the Philippines, but now she's back in Angola. And it's her goal to build a city for African Americans to
Yeah.
move to Africa and take advantage of the $22 trillion of known in-ground assets that are in Angola.
Hmm.
Uh, Angola didn't know they had gold until the 90s. And then after the 90s, they found out they had the second largest amount of petroleum. They they are about equal to Nigeria right now. So that's why Angola is climbing so fast up the economic change, and their GDP is almost doubling every year. So right now, Angola has has under 50 million people, but when they build the three new cities that they are considering building, their population will double.
Yeah, and well, like I said, Celeste and I have been working on. Like I said, I believe that if Black people in America could get situated in Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, we could launch to Angola much quicker. You know, in other words,
Well,
basically,
what organization like your organization should do is become a little more astute with the Department of Commerce. They got a foreign service department that will give monies and help uh, Black people that have business to set up in foreign countries that would benefit them back here in America. Uh, there's other organizations called OPEC
yeah, OPEC.
that
Yeah, I told. Let me say this. I told Bomani about that. We're looking into that. Bomani, how far did you ever get with OPEC?
Not far at all.
Well, we're working on OPEC, and I didn't know about the Commerce Department. That's something we
Yeah,
got to look.
that's one of the things we can tap all into is any chamber of commerce. We can even build something for ourselves,
Matter of fact,
our
you and
own chamber
Bomani,
of
Mr.
commerce.
Rosenthal, you and Bomani just stay. I'm gonna hook you two guys. You guys ought to talk. You know, because
well, I would like to work with money in putting together a proposal for OPEC because I just read where in Botswana, Botswana's president ran De Beers out of Botswana because of they didn't know fifth grade arithmetic. The De Beers didn't learn how to divide. You know, they learned how to add and multiply, but they
Absolutely.
didn't learn how to divide. So he ran them out of the country. And I saw where American company had got $100 million to set up jewelry, diamond cutting and polishing in
yeah,
Botswana.
yeah,
So I think if we set up write up a proposal and get several congressional people to put a letter on top of the proposal endorsing it, then it could very easily get funded from OPEC, Department of Commerce, Department of Agriculture, uh, uh, the Small Business Administration. All of those organizations are geared to help small. They call them small minorities, women owned businesses, disadvantaged owned business. I don't think those businesses are disadvantaged. I think they are discriminated against when it comes to finance. But I think if we put together a proposal for BAO to go to Angola, to Zimbabwe, to Ghana, to Uganda, those people are happy to see African Americans come over there, and they'll welcome you. Even in South Africa, they have this outspoken brother called Malema.
hmm
Malema says when he look up and see a Nigerian, when he see an African American, when he see a Congolese person, when he sees somebody from uh, um, Uganda, uh, any of the other countries, he see another brother and another sister that he wants to go and shake their hand and hug them and say, "Hello, brother. Hello, sister. We are happy to see you here." So I think if the only way BAO is going to get ahead, if they gave those white gentlemen from OPEC $100 million to set up diamond operation, oh, you could take $100 million and set up a fertilizer factory in Liberia. Uh, you, the company is BAO is registered in America, right?
Well, actually, it's registered in Liberia right now. It's incorporated in Liberia. But when I get when I get back from Liberia in February, March, I'm incorporated and registered as an LLC inside the United States. You know,
Well, you could come to Mississippi and register in 10 minutes tomorrow with less than $100.
I'm gonna get with you on that. We'll do that. You
Or
know.
you could go online and do it in Delaware in
Yeah,
very short.
Delaware. I would think about Delaware or Nevada or Mississippi. One of those.
Yeah, I mean, you could register it. Um, registering is very easy. It's less than $100. But
Yeah.
before you go submitting those proposals, you need to be registered in 2 or 3 different states. So you would have some leverage, because one of the requirements is, where do you get residual benefits to America for doing foreign investment? Now, there's also in the Department of State, USAID. That has been used politically, but they can approve quite a bit of money without congressional approval. They have a big budget for it.
Mhm.
So I think it's time to find a lawyer to sit down and help put together these proposals.
We've
Or
been looking
either,
for a lawyer. Like we have a lot of people that come to our shows and everything, and nobody wants to really put it. They like showing off on YouTube. They like it's like that. We have BAO lawyers in the BAO, but nobody wants to step up and say, maybe because I haven't put it out there like that. I don't know what I have to do and say, hey, we need, and all what I need is from you, Roswell, is the exact thing what I'm looking for, so I can go to a lawyer. And
well, the Small Business Administration gives monies to universities, and they set up different um, help centers in every state.
right,
So you can go
yeah,
there, and those people will write the business plan for you.
yeah, I did that years ago with what's called Score. What's called Score.
I'm not sure
Yeah, it's called
what
Score back in the.
the, there are different names in different states.
It was back in like '93. I was at Score, and I went through it and whatnot. But what I was trying to do back then wasn't pretty good. I didn't have nothing like that. I was just trying to open up my own vending business and whatnot, And they, I was like, I was a young kid. I didn't know. I went to Score. It's called Score. It's for the Small Business Administration.
Yeah, you can get them to open up to do your business plan, to help you with the proposal that you're going to submit to the Department of State Division of African Affairs, Department of State, uh, AID, the Eighth Department with Commerce. Agriculture has a Foreign Service uh, department that gives technical assistance, soil testing, all of that. So all of these agencies that are there should be utilized uh, to help put together proposals and get money. Just as these white gentlemen got $100 billion to go and do diamond business in
I remember
Botswana.
that. I remember that. I remember
Yo,
that.
well, the biggest thing, in America, black people kind of look down on agriculture. But you got to think agriculture is big business because people eat every day. So when you look at agriculture, don't just look at raising cotton, corn, and soybeans. Look at furniture. Most furniture come from wood that comes from trees. That forestry is an eminent part of agriculture. Look at automobile tires that come from rubber that comes from trees. That's a byproduct of agriculture. One of the things that we have overlooked that is very lucrative today is bamboo, uh, sometimes referred to as fishing canes. Well, they can be cultivated and grow to be large. Some of the best floors that are in America are
I
bamboo
want,
floors.
look, I want my house in Liberia partially built like the patio part, you know what I'm saying, in bamboo, with the cold breeze coming in and stuff like that. I want my front porch and patio. That's what I dream about, like they have
Well,
in the Philippines.
you
Stuff
can
like that.
also build bamboo furniture to make it
I want
the
that too.
decor of it
That too.
beautiful.
I want
Yes,
that. I've seen it.
I've even seen bicycles made out of bamboo.
Yeah,
But
I've seen that.
my point is, before all of these dreams can be transferred into reality, finance have to appear from somewhere.
Right.
Now, it's very important to America when they go to the United Nations to get these 54 countries to vote with them, especially when they have a referendum against China or Russia. One of the best ways to get them there is not just give them a small grant and put those stipulations in it, but helping African American businesses. And uh, your group could lead in placing African Americans in those strategic needed locations of those countries.
Yeah, the
Uh,
BAO lead this. I know. This is one organization that's going to lead this. And the bottom line, we're changing from going on. A lot of people going to the continent and they're not organized. They're not on a high level like you are. If they suck counsel from somebody like you, they'll be more successful, right? They don't know there's money in the government in America that we could tap into that we can do in Africa. But Bonnie and I have been talking about this for a long time because we know we're going to get pushback. Oh, look, we're up against the Chinese. They got billions and billions of dollars.
you
Okay,
can't compete.
you can't compete, so you have to have some sort of leverage. You're not going to get 100% of what you're. You're not going to be black power, black power. You're going to do nothing, right? You got to humble
Yeah.
yourself. Say you know something.
When you open that fish, you better have some $100 bills
That's
in
why
it.
you better have some money in that fist. You ain't got nothing. You an empty hand, black power. You broke it. You ain't got two dimes to rub together. Everybody's tired of that. I mean, African brothers like we love y'all. How coming over here, but the Lebanese, like we talk about tonight's show about social responsibility. They come there and they basically give to charity. They got money. The money we come to invest with, they're giving away in hospitals. They give away like in Liberia right now. Me and Sam Cooper was talking about that yesterday. We don't know what to think about George Ware's new hospital from the United Arab Emirates. We don't know what to think. But you know how Sam is, Sam is negative. We love him, but Sam, he sees a conspiracy in everything. And so basically, I don't know what to think, right? But
Well,
this
we have from now until September to put together a proposal and get on the agenda and make a presentation to the Congressional Black Caucus.
right.
We should make a presentation to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and make a presentation to Congress as a whole, because the 60%, over 60% of the what's called rare earth elements, and these are the elements on the bottom line of the periodic chart. This is what's going to be needed for the future, to make computers, to do all of the industrialization, computer chips. We have a slowdown in automobile manufacturing because we are dependent on Taiwan and China and Japan and South Korea for computer chips when they could be manufactured here in America.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can start working on organizing proposals to give to the Department of State, to give to the Department of State African Affairs Division. We could partner with the Black Chamber of Commerce and go to Africa with your organization and the Black Chamber of Commerce, and then put proposals together for OPEC, for commerce, get small business administrations outlets to write these proposals and business plans. And then you got a business plan with 5-year projections, uh, showing how the economic cash flow will go for next year, the next 5 years, and high projections for the next 10 years, then you generate some money for BAO.
I
And
have so many. I have in
huh?
Liberia. I got like at least 10 business proposals from Sam, Ross. We got so many. We got them all on paper. We got tourism, and that's another thing. Tourism. Liberia's looking for money for the tourism business. Everything. One of the things I say in tourism is re-educating people, the world about Liberian history. My movie, my book, Journey to the Promised Land, right? I got producers that want to make it into a movie. That's going to be a big. So once you sell Liberia's history, black people in America realize they got a history with this country, right? That's going to be big. And also then, tourism and people want to invest in everything. There's all kinds of different opportunities that we have on paper. But like I said, no one's ever thought about
Yeah,
opening.
but you got to put finance to it. Tourism is
We
a
got to
big
put, yeah, that's what I
industry.
said. We got to,
But once you leave here, you need to have a 5-star hotel to go stay in. You know, you can't just say, just go over there, just look at the natural beauty of the land. After the first day of seeing how beautiful the mountains, the valleys, the landscape is, then you got to have a restaurant to eat at, a hotel to sleep in, transportation to get you back and forth from the airport, safely carry you around. So these these proposals could include the 5-star hotels,
right,
the restaurants, if you're going to look at the tourism. But in manufacturing value addition to agriculture and industrialization is much bigger than tourism. People could instantly see how if you go over there and start a jewelry factory, instead of just selling the raw diamonds, you would sell engagement rings, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, and all of those things. Uh, those type of businesses are putting up rubber processing plant. Did you know from just corn alone, there are 23 products can be made that have industrial value to them. So those are the things that the Small Business Administration could do research on and capitalize on finding some African American who are into some of this type of business or manufacturing or start some. So where you can show where it would be beneficial to the United States as well as uplifting and financially rewarding for Africa as well. I think that's something uh, that we need to have a conversation that's not on this deal.
yeah,
Uh, put together an outline to move forward on in this direction. There's no difference in your organization than many of the other international organizations that's getting billions of dollars. Department of Energy sticks out all type of monies uh, for solar panels and tax credits and all that other stuff. We just need a black company that's ordering these solar panels from Nevada has a big solar panel manufacturing company, and if the prices are too high, get them from Taiwan or China or South Korea.
mm-hmm. We hope in coming up that I'll be working with you. I'll be calling you, Mr. Rosenthal, at least twice, 2 times a week, because and my build up to go into Liberia, next month and everything like that. So I can hit the ground running. I know what I want to do when I'm on the ground, but I want to put it all together. And then also the proposals. When I get back, I'm gonna start working on those proposals.
Well, look at what I put on your WhatsApp about petroleum
Yeah.
and
So
agriculture on your WhatsApp. Take a look at those things. Uh, so there are so many opportunities that we can have, but we need to have some financial strength before we don't want to be like a toy poodle with a loud bark and no bite.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Tennessee State University? Is the lady that's a president, is that your friend? Is that your friend?
Yes, Dr. Glover.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's your friend, right? She's now the
Yeah,
head of the thing.
Dr. Glover was the first person to raise money for Obama to be a senator, and she was very significant in raising monies for him to become president. Also, she and Miss Harris, Dr. Glover was national president of AKAs, and when she had a big event, uh, the vice president showed up, who was also a AKA, and spoke with her. So that may be another way of getting into uh, getting fraternities and sororities to invest or to do
Oh yeah.
ventures in African countries. Leadership can come from any sector, uh, and that's what's needed is management skills and leadership.
Yeah, yeah, and I like I said, the reason why I chose Liberia because that's an easy. Our goal is to make Liberia and Ghana like the pipeline to the rest of the continent. You know, the pipeline, like the logistical pipeline. You know, so we do business there, but the bottom line, like I have Angola. You know, Junior, Celeste's old assistant, Junior. You know, did you meet him, Junior, from Angola? He's a government
Yeah.
official now, right? Well, anyway, he talks to me all the time. Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to come to Angola. And I said, yeah, I told him we have to do Liberia first. But I want to bring him. I want to bring the Angolans to Liberia. They're interested in Liberia, you know. And so I want to bring the Angolans to Liberia and Ghana and stuff like that. So basically, it's not like we're going all over the place. I would like to have it so we build a BAO building in Ghana, in Liberia, right, and in Ghana, that we basically anybody from the continent, right. So in other words, instead of us tracking all over the continent, right, we got one.
Well, yeah, but the ambassadors from each one of those countries can be extremely helpful in putting this
Right.
stuff together. Yeah.
Right. That's what we want to do. You know, I want to be like, okay, Angola, Liberia, and also what gets me is this: we African Americans are the glue because I've introduced. I look at my network, BAO, and my social network. I have people that would never have known each other, right? You know, Zimbabwe is talking to Nigerians, Sierra Leone. BAO is a very powerful group, you know, and you got people listen to me and they follow me and stuff like that. Follow Bullion Bomani and so listen to what we have to say, listen to you, and we're getting all these people on one page that would never be together. That's why that social network is so important. And I'm saying like this: if we could get people in strategic places, like in let's say in the Central Africa region, we look at Rwanda, look at Kinshasa. You know, East Africa, it will probably be Nairobi or Dar es Salaam. You know, Southern Africa, it might be Johannesburg. You know, we have strategic areas where we're all coordinating together, all the continent. You know, so
You know,
therefore,
there's a brother from Kenya in Houston, Texas, uh, who we work with, and he's into selling artifacts that come out of Africa. So we went to Africa and bought a couple of containers full of artifacts, and he would go to major cities and sell these African artifacts. This is a bottle of wine that my son has a winery in Houston, Texas, that he makes this wine and ships it off into Africa. But
right.
anyway, all of these artifacts uh, would go from city to city and set up in hotels, and he sell these artifacts, and they bring in a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Wow, beautiful. I like to have them.
You know, all of these artifacts brings in lots of money, and all of these things that you see were exported from Africa.
Mm.
So it's, there are many ways that you can generate money by bringing stuff over and just selling it.
Yeah, importing, exporting is another thing. Trading, import, export.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana, they're starting to do small scale manufacturing. And I tell them all the time, you can sell it on eBay, and they handle the shipping and all that, And Alibaba, they handle the shipping and everything. So getting African products to the U.S. market, because we have the AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunities Act, which basically waives tariffs on African-made goods,
Hmm.
manufactured goods. So all these things have to start being in the normal conversation.
Well,
Okay.
I think next week would be an excellent time for us to develop an outline of of where BAO can start looking for finance.
Yes.
Uh, and once you get the finance in place, it will be easier. You know, some of the agencies will allow you to take 15% of it for administrative use, computers, rent, uh, that type stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'm ready for it. Matter of fact, I would like to have all that together before I go to Liberia. So when I go there, I come back, I have definite. I've seen it. This is what we're gonna invest in. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever projects it is. It could be like 50 projects, right? And people got a feasibility study. They got a business plan for how projects can make money, how we can employ people, and can turn a profit and everything like that. And a lot of it's going to be construction. It's going to be mining. It's going to be agriculture. It's going to be small scale manufacturing. And energy, you know, building micro dams. We have a guy, I don't know what happened, flaked on us, right? He builds micro dams. Liberia has a lot of streams and rivers. Well, you could build a micro dam and produce electricity. And if we could get into micro dam building, the country of Liberia, these countries could produce so much because they got so many running waters, right? And streams and everything like that. Liberia could be a net exporter of bulk electricity, you know? But all these things could be done, right? They just have to put it down on paper and say this is what we want to do, and we have to teach our African brothers, right, to basically this is long term. It's not get rich quick. We're trying to develop a country. Once a country is developed and everything, you got roads. You can get point A to point B, and everything's flowing and stuff like that. You'll see your country start growing. It start growing, like you said.
well, I always say it's just like a dog chasing a car. When the dog catches the car, what does he do with it?
Right.
You know, so when you have your business plans, your feasibility study, it's like a roadmap. You can see exactly where you're going in next year, 5 years, 10 years. One reason why China is advancing much faster than the United States is China has a comprehensive 40-year plan.
Yeah.
And each year they come up with action items. What are we going to do in 2023 for 2075? America has 3-year plans. They
Right.
have roughly 4-year plans because the president take the third year and recampaign to get reelected or help his party get somebody to beat the other party. So while we are in political competition with Democrats against the Republicans, we're not moving forward fast enough on
Exactly.
technology and economic development.
Right. There's no 100. China had a 50-year plan. I asked Africans, what's the 50-year plan? You can't have a 50-year plan if you're relying on somebody else to fund it for you. Africa has to find its own finances, like you said earlier, of developing it from itself by leveraging its natural resources, hedging, and stuff like that. Then you can have a 50-year plan. When you have control over your destiny, your means of finance and stuff like that. But it can't be just like every year, okay, what's a 50-year plan? We ain't got none. China had thought this out. They said, we're going to build this many factories, this many coal plants, this many this, right? We're going to keep our birth rate at this, right? If we could do this right here. All strategic, right? And then when they see, it's like what do you call analytics and benchmarks, and stuff like that. We have analytics and benchmarks, stuff like that. We could do like this, right? When something does not go right, in the analytics or that, listen, what's going on? You wonder why people act the way it is? Well, like any country, whatever. Well, why are they acting on this right now? Because 5 years from now, they have planned to do this, and this happened. That's when you see why the United States get involved in Chile, right? Because they had plans, right? And the government, like this. Why did the United States get involved in Angola? Well, they had plans and everything, and the MPLA came in and it didn't work out, so they have to send that thing in to recorrect it and get it back on its course. That's what that's what planning is. The United States does have strategic military planning over the years, But as
Yeah,
far
over
as
40% of our budget go to the military.
yeah, it's military, but it doesn't have any economic plan for the country. It's just basically we look at what Hollywood's saying, and we look at what this clown is saying, this president is saying, and this news pundit is saying, and nobody has any real plan, and there's no real plan for anything. It is playing it by ear. But militarily, the United States do have military.
Well, each federal agency has what they call their action plans. Uh, Housing and urban development,
Oh yeah,
social
they do. Yeah.
security, yeah, agriculture. Each one of those have their individual plans, but coming together for a major plan like China and in 2040, their plan is to rule the world.
Yeah, they're on their way to doing it because the United States, we want to put Marines in skirts. That's more important. We want to give sex change operations. That's what's real important. Aviation. Oh no, we want to have equity. It's more important to have a transgender and a woman flying a plane than somebody that actually knows how to fly a plane. This country is going left. It's going. I don't know where it's going. That's why we got to keep building. This is what keeps our sanity. What we're trying to build in Africa, right? Because American culture, you can forget it. You ask Disney, right? We're not trying to entertain anymore. We got to indoctrinate. We didn't ask you to freaking indoctrinate us, right? By this point in time, we got to have a transgender superhero. That's what they want next. Next thing you have a transgender superhero. We're making progress. Progress for who? And what gets me is black people. This is what we voted for. These crazy people. And I'm saying, and these people tell me I'm crazy for talking about building in Africa. You're voting for people that's trying to put boys and girls, boys in skirts and whatnot, and making women single mothers, and I hate men, and all stuff that's stupid stuff they're doing, right? When we talk about land, the BAIO principle, land infrastructure nationhood, building in Africa, building a global pipeline, business pipeline and stuff like that for Africa. Using the power that we have in America, like you just gave, like I said, Bomani and I have been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, and you just basically put the icing on the cake, with your blessing and saying, yeah, you guys, we ought to work with the OPEC and stuff like. We've been talking about this for a while, and you and I have been talking about that for years, but I never publicly said that because a lot of people in the Pan-African spirit think it's all about. Look, the bottom line is that sort of Pan-African is dead. We're here in the United States. We're in a good position in the United States. If we basically use our strength here in the United States, we can help Africa. We can compete with China, and we can help uplift Africa, and we can do stuff for ourselves. We can help African American businesses, real businesses, get established on the industries, get established on the continent. And if you want to live there, you can live there in peace without having to worry about living in poverty or war or anything like that. We want to have it so that we're building those smart cities that we're talking about. That's coming next. The future should be us building smart cities like they're building in Asia. Where the best of our talent is coming from the West and different parts of Africa, and you got all these smart people concentrated in urban, dense areas with futuristic cities. That's the dream right there. And then we will then reverse the effects of the slave trade. And then we will have what Marcus Garvey said 100 years ago this year, the cause of African redemption. Then we'll be redeemed. It's all right in front of us, right? All this coming together is not an accident. All of us men of African descent are coming together is not an accident. All these minds coming together. We're taking everything we have. Maybe, like I said, now, maybe we weren't ready to go to Africa when Garvey said. Maybe we need to stay here a little longer and learn. Maybe we need to produce a Mr. Rosenthal, you know? Maybe we needed a Bomani Tyehimba, you know? Maybe we need this sort of energy, right, to take to the continent, right, in full force. Maybe we weren't ready for Garvey. You know, Garvey started the idea. Maybe we weren't just ready for that just yet, you know? And so therefore now we're on a different thing. We have the internet, we're finding each other, we're communicating, and we're learning from each other. And like I said, and it's always a learning process.
Well, I think that we have accomplished a few things, but keep talking to Julius. He has a degree in. He's a dentist. He's a doctor. He has a degree in dental.
Is he okay?
Science.
Is he okay? I heard you was sick.
Yeah, well, he's getting better. He also has a law degree.
Yeah.
You know, he's licensed as a lawyer and as a dentist, so he can bring quite a bit of. He can bring a different view to doing things outside of the box that a lot of people can't do. But we need thousands of people like him who are engineers, architects, school teachers,
Yeah.
or just through businessmen. You don't need a big degree to be a big businessman. You look at Microsoft, Facebook. Neither one of those guys have a degree. Walmart, all of those things
Right.
emanated from shrewd business people. So uh, if we can, right now, we my company has brought together over 250 diasporas, and I think the diasporas, I can put them on your WhatsApp. Diasporas is another way to go because most of the Pan African diaspora people are quite successful in America.
Yeah. That's what we need. We need Black people that's successful in America, right? That getting together for this in Africa. We definitely need that, you know. And that's what we're gonna bring. Like, if you could bring them onto the social net, the Ning social net, I'm gonna send you more of the links and everything. I have an app for it too. So it's just like Facebook, the Ning site, the website, it has an app now, So people can download the app and they can upload this stuff and everything like that. They can join the chapters. They can create their own groups. It's just like Facebook,
Well,
Create your own.
we also have a gentleman. Uh, he's in Washington D.C. now. He's a software engineer, and he's putting together a Black African Facebook, and
Yeah.
that will be able to give us social media outreach that's concentrating on social, political, and economic advancement for
Mhm.
people of African descent.
Yeah, we
That's
need that. Like I said earlier, we need our own social network platforms. Once we have also that, well, the same way Facebook generates ad revenue and stuff like that, we need to be the Pan African world needs to have their own social network platforms. Several of them.
well, this gentleman has put together a network where he can take one email and hit 50 million people simultaneously.
Wow.
So with that type of power, he is also projected Professor PLO from Kenya, who's very powerful with his strong speeches,
Hmm.
and also Dr. Arakana, who was ambassador from the African Union to America, who started talking about how France was beating black people. You know, when people look at countries like Haiti and say, well, why are they so far behind? Well, in 1912, the United States sent Marines over there and stole the gold out of the Central Bank of Haiti and put it in First National Bank of America in New York, which is now Citibank, and they never gave that gold back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's worth billions of dollars. Citibank owe that to Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
And, the French people were making the African countries pay them to be free.
Mm-hmm.
When Dr. Eric Connor started talking about it, then the African Union got rid of her as the ambassador, but that was the best thing ever happened to her because she's extremely strong right now.
Right. I look forward to working with her too.
Yeah. Well, let's do that outline of financial projections. And then when we start getting people to go in, there'll be a budget set aside to do these things with.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that this week.
All right. Well, I'm going to get off now.
All right, Mr.
So,
Rosenthal, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. Bomani, you there? Bomani.
Hey, go ahead, Kala. Sorry about that.
So what'd you think, man? Everything we were talking about all for last month, right? Bomani, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But when he was talking about the OPEC and everything like that, we're gonna work on the outline, and stuff like that, and plug with key people, Mr. Julius. When you start doing work in Liberia, man, that person, he's definitely somebody you want to plug with, But this it's like I said, we have to get the financing. That's the last part. The only way I can see it is like he said, the agriculture department, the commerce department. And he's used to doing this stuff. So we're gonna work on this.
Exactly. You're building from the ground up and you just keep working at it. There's no magical way around the situation. So that's why I said people just hear the man talk and share information and
Yeah, he's friends with Dr. Glover of the. I remember he introduced me to her years ago. She's the president of Tennessee State University, and she was interested in Liberia and whatnot. We was communicating about Liberia. Now she's a Liberianist. She sent a whole truckload of laptops to Liberia. And she got record numbers of students joining HBCUs. And she's a Pan-Africanist. So we do got the people, the black people in power and position, down with this. So like I said, after tonight's show, folks, this is the face of Pan-Africanism. You saw the stuff Roosevelt was saying stuff. I was like blowing my mind away. About stuff I didn't even know. When you come away from these shows, folks, you should feel educated. You should feel, like I said, there's a part of our social responsibility of any organization is to know what you're talking about, right? So people know they're in good hands. Okay? You can't just run off the cuff. Oh yeah, blah 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 blah. And you don't know what you're talking about. You're not connected. And brother said he looked up he looked up Mr. Rosenthal. Yeah, Mr. Rosenthal goes way back. If you see a picture of Mr. Rosenthal in 1978, he got a big ass afro and shit like this. I said, what are you doing? The disco? You going to the disco? Yeah, big ass afro.
How we did it back then.
Yeah, he was like, he's a player, Yeah, Mr. Rosenthal, like I said, he goes way back. And he's been with me for years. Him and I have been building for years, trading notes and everything. This is a final leg before we really put this thing when the BAO finally gets the financing and the backing it needs, and that goes for Bomani and everybody else. We're gonna really do this shit, Yeah, so I'm gonna learn how to do this government loans and government grants and stuff like that. The money's out there. The money's out there. $100 million.
You gotta get organized and get it.
Some white boys got $100 million and went to Botswana and started cutting diamonds. And I remember when that happened, and they hate Botswana, right? You check us out. This is funny, right? This is white people are just funny. They're hilarious, man, right? Let me tell you something, folks. Like I said earlier, the enemies of black people are not just gonna come from the right. Everybody talking about the neo-Nazis, they ain't shit. The Afroforum, all these racist people, they ain't shit, right? The people you gotta look out for, right, are these white social justice warriors, these so-called humanitarians, and all these other people, right? because they do anything to damage your thing, right? Suddenly, when Botswana decides that it wants to start not exporting raw diamonds, it wants to start cutting diamonds, and it starts looking at other parts of the country where they got diamonds plentiful and everything like that, right? And they're just not just doing diamonds, they're doing jewelry. Suddenly, out of nowhere, here comes white people in San Francisco. Oh, the Botswana government is oppressing the poor Bushman people, you know? Suddenly they're just concerned about the Bushman people. Suddenly, Ian Kama, right? President Seretsky Kama, a model president, right? Suddenly he's a villain. They can turn you to a villain overnight. You know? Ian Kama, blah, blah, blah. They start talking about why is he not married? He's a date. He's a playboy and a philanderer. Character assassination, you know? You know? And so all you have all these white people, oh yeah, blood diamonds, call them Botswana's diamond industry, blood diamonds. You know? All under the guise of thing. Also, they go to the Bushmen, right? A lot of them are dusty. They don't want. They think the Botswana government set up schools, everything, right? The education. You know what they want to do? They want to throw spears at giraffes and shit. You know. And the government say we can't. Like, then they start calling the Bushmen, right? And I'm not trying to be funny. They start to call the Bushman people the indigenous. The Swana people has been there just with indigenous. Who decides who's indigenous? Suddenly, the Bushmen are the original inhabitants of the land, and the Swana people have been there at the same time. Because they're useful to the international propagandists who want to stop Botswana taking over the global diamond industry. Suddenly, they're indigenous, and we got to protect them. And so they talk about sanctions on Botswana. A model African country, they ain't bother nobody. Have you ever known a Botswana to do anything to anybody?
Brother, never. These people are unbelievable.
You know? So, like I said, bro, after the night show, folks, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button if you're watching, you know. Share it with your friends and everything. Link it out on social media. I know this is not black owned and everything like that. That's coming in a year or two, whatever. But the bottom line, while we got these platforms, let's use them, you know. Use them. Share with your friends and whatnot. Send the message of the Black African Infrastructure Organization and the Africa of Africans, Bomani and Kala Genesis and everybody else. Tell the world about Mr. Rosenthal and what you heard tonight and everything, that this is real. You know, it's ain't just people talking and everything like that. And hopefully this year we're going to have more guests on this show, right? Show you that this Pan-African movement is real. This ain't no thing. I just got to notice, right, that, you know, they had a meeting, the Blue Black Panther Party invited Umar Johnson, something happened where that guy Q Butter got the cop. Umar Johnson called the cops on Q Butter. I just got the message. I don't know what happened because
it does sound weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but Umar Johnson, you know, it didn't go down well because a lot of people said Umar Johnson's a scammer, and Malik Zulu Shabazz invited him anyway. He went to speak at today's Khalid Muhammad's birthday, you know, and it didn't go down well.
Wow, how that went? Wow, how did that
left? The whole thing
go
went
wrong?
left. Umar Johnson was the keynote speaker, and it all went left, man. You know, I don't know what happened.
So I guess you'll hear it on YouTube tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we'll hear it on YouTube. Yeah, we'll get the updates.
The Gossip Network.
Yeah, the Gossip. You know, the Pan-African enthusiast. You know, this platform right here is Pan-African reality. That's why we don't sell you dreams. You know, we don't sell you dreams. We tell you got to come correct. You know, you want to do this, man.
There's work to do, man. There's work to do.
It's serious business, man. Now,
the last thing that we were talking about that we didn't really talk into was the fully breakdown of a citizen and responsibility of citizen.
Right.
And, you know, as we we close out on social responsibilities and things, you know.
Let me tell you something. A citizen, right? It's a citizen. You know, part of your duty as a citizen is you get called for military duty. Okay, what are you gonna do? They gave you that citizenship, right? There's some rebels there, and they're gonna draft you into the army. What are you gonna do? You know, you're gonna get on a plane. You're gonna run to the U.S. Embassy. You know, part of your civic thing is paying the local government taxes. You know, serving in the army. You know, obeying the laws. That's what a citizen. People don't understand. A citizen is a privilege. You know, that a state, a republic grants its people. Right? It's the most highest thing you could be in a country as a citizen. You know, and people take that word lightly. I'm a citizen, right? That's because we haven't learned in America how to be good citizens in America. So we're carrying that to Africa. We're just, we have things in America we don't take advantage of, right? Like I said, education. We're citizens of America, right? There's billions of dollars at our disposal for developing in Africa if we want to do that and everything, right? So long as you can show how you're making money and everything like that. Money's coming back to the United States and you're making money. America can benefit ultimately. There's money for that. You want a project in Africa, you don't have to freaking sell your house or bankrupt it. There's things you can plug into. But you don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that, man, for the United States. Well, you live in the United States. You have a U.S. passport. You born in America. Take advantage of that. That's being a good citizen, right? Hey, I'm going to be a good citizen, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me tell you something else, too, right? There's no law in America that tells you can't be a Pan-Africanist, right? There's no law. That's all in your mind. There's no white people don't give a damn if we all leave tomorrow. They don't really care. They don't care about you investing in Africa, right? But instead of just making a big noise about investing in building Africa, right? Why don't you just make it work? And then when you do something good and positive, those same white people you're worried about be like, you know something? Hey, good. Because those white people got their shit together. You know what white people really want for you? You need to get your shit together. If it means you going to Africa and becoming a millionaire and everything, they'll applaud you. So this idea that, oh man, we gotta look at a white man under the table, COINTELPRO, all this stupid, spooky shit, get the fuck out of here, You see now that this movement is stronger than any sort of racist. So if you think you got a racist boogeyman or a racist white man, everything, this ain't for you. Another thing is, if you gotta browbeat somebody into Pan-Africanism, oh man, why you ain't a real Pan-African. You're an enthusiast. You're not a real Pan-Africanist. I'm a realist. Realize that the majority of people, black people, is going to do their thing. But if I have a friend of mine who's not a Pan-Africanist, he's still my friend. I understand. Okay, yeah, this is not for you. I don't bring it up. But those of us who are like-minded, right? I'm going to build with them to the strongest thing. And this one thing I want to ask too, right? If you really was a Pan-Africanist, right? How come you're not calling Kala Genesis at least once a week? How come you're not posting on the Ning site? How come you're not uploading on the Ning site? How come you're not connecting with people who are really Pan-Africanists, Bomani and myself, on a different level? How come you're not saying, Kala, we need to get together. We need to have a conference call. We need to get on. But yet you want to basically attack the black people who don't have nothing to do with this. Call them stupid. Oh, you believe in America. You think America's your country and all this kind of stupid stuff. But yet the black people who want your attention, like myself, who want your support, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to answer my calls. You don't want to call me back. You don't even want to fucking inbox me. Just say, Kala, fuck you, But everything's about, these people ain't joining the Pan-African movement. That's because you're not really settled and believing in yourself. So you need somebody else to validate you. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Baruji said, wow, this show was truly a great one. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're bringing great shows. That's what you're going to get for it. You get the best. That's why we do late night shows, right? We have all week, we're strategizing what we're going to talk about. So we come to these shows right here. We're really delivering real stuff. We're real people.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So we can close to the night and things. Since I didn't post a link, but hey, it's too late anyway. Like everybody is.
All right. After tonight, what can people say after hearing Mr. Rosenthal? That's like a mic drop. This dude, this been doing. This man's doing this. This man's 77 years old. Going back and forth to the African continent. Him and his sons and everybody else. He's in the Rosenthal group. Who used to be in the Rosenthal? Mike Espy, the former agricultural secretary under Clinton. He's part of the Rosenthal group. So these are high-powered people, right? And the importance I brought to civil, what do you call it? I brought like the street level, BAO and grassroots level to this, you know. So it was a marriage made in heaven, you know. So we got the street level and we got the high tech people, high up people. Because you got high up people in Black America involved in this, but they're not on YouTube, right? They're not on YouTube cussing people out and shit, you know. You know, they're on you.
I'm sure they have better things to do.
They got better things to do. They're not listening to goofballs on YouTube talking a bunch of nonsense, you know. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You know, there's Black people out there. You just never know. There's Black people out there in the Black middle America. They're watching. You know, they're watching. And what you want is the support of your people, even if they don't get involved, right? Yeah, you know, if you do something, anything positive in Black America, right? You know, and you're making money and you're building and stuff like that, Black people will support you. But if you're acting a fool and embarrassing them, you know, telling them that America don't belong to you, you need to get out of it, you might as well be working for the Klan. You know, I'm seeing you, a black man, work hard, nice career, salary, family. He's just down, let me see what's going on the internet. Y'all sitting in America, blah, 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 blah. It's like, who are you? You know, I said, if you telling me just go to Africa, what am I going to do? You know, get out of the white man's country. Get out of the white man's country. So now it's white. But you could sit on YouTube on a white man's platform and making him millions of dollars and whatnot, you know. You can't move yourself like Mr. Roosevelt said. This guy's building a soul. I want to see how many Pan-Africans join the site, you know, when it comes out, you know. You know?
Yeah, brother. Yeah, some of these people are, you know, their whole game is flawed. I mean, you know, they're not operating from, you know,
they're not operating in a reality, you know.
You know, they're in fairy tale, man, Wonderland.
Wonderland. This is a reality. I'm not gonna give nobody no Wonderland stuff.
Know, they're quick to sell you a dream.
It comes down to
you know, we're talking about social responsibility, so it's like
social,
you know,
social responsibility.
You gotta be able to
being real with people, you know.
Serious, man. This is people lives on the line. This people careers.
Lives on the line. You know, that's the social responsibility.
If you're gonna give consult, you know, provide consultation, or if you're just gonna just put things out there, you got to be able to back it up. You know, and a lot of these people, man, you know, they're gonna end up finding out they're putting a foot in their mouth. I mean, it's just, you know, they're gonna find it just so easy to talk about all these things, and then they're gonna see this trying to accomplish it and getting it done as a whole different world.
Accomplishing are two different things. I keep saying it. Doing
serious business.
When you have accomplishment, you become an achiever. You know, Mr. Rosenthal is an accomplished man his whole life. You know, so he has achievement. You know, he could build on that. He could talk on it. He could stand on that. You know, doing something just to say you're doing something. You know, I'm sorry, that don't cut it anymore. Not when you're talking about something as serious as this, as moving off overseas. You know, now if you want to do a YouTube and you guys meet up in your local thing and y'all just talking and chatting and everything, that's one thing. But when you asking somebody to move with you to another country, you know, that's the most serious thing you could do. You know, so if you don't have your shit together, you shouldn't say it like that. We don't have it together. We're still trying to. Then what you do is you get with Bomani, get with Kala, and say, you know something, man, you know, let's put together a real thing. What do you think about this? What can we build like this? I heard you, Kala, talk about a susu and stuff like that. You know, would that help out our group? Yeah. You know, what about this? You know, let's pull our money together. Let's organize. Be organized in these countries and everything like that. We should be able to help each other out on the continent and work together. You know, but I hear people all the time. They live in countries. They only talk to each other. Yeah, in Gambia. These guys live in Gambia is like a neighborhood, you know? It's so small like a neighborhood. All those people should be on one page working together. But they all
it should be that simple. But you know, you already told me you got a PhD in Negrology.
I got a PhD in Negrology, right? And black people, all black power and everything until it comes down to money and responsibility.
So you know how that goes down.
Yep.
So yeah, the Gambia, unfortunately, but then what doesn't help is Negro peeing himself.
Yeah,
The
he's
nigga peeing himself.
terrified.
The nigga
He
peeing.
terrified a lot of people, man. A lot of people are like, oh.
Literally just all you need is a gossip monger, man, to it cause more chaos than anything else.
That's all people threaten. I'm gonna go to the Negro peeing. That's terrifying. Oh,
Is that like going to the boogeyman?
yeah, the Negro peeing, you know? Yeah, I couldn't believe, right? I'm sitting there scrolling. They said we have a man named Bomani Tyehimba. I said, what the hell did somebody report you to the Negro peeing, you know? Yeah. I'll never forget that. Then I come back. I come back from. I was at
What is that like? What is that like? Candyman?
Yeah, Candyman, the boogie, the Negro P. You know, it's like he does look like Miami Candyman. You know, tap 3 times and the Candyman and Negro P comes out. You know. That shit was like when you was on the show, you give him the middle finger. You were trying to be like, he kept, why you do this? Why he kept trapping you? And then all of a sudden I saw something in him, right? I said, he's being disingenuous, right? They said, oh, you got 25,000 subscribers. You should be monetized. He's like, you were like, I don't need that. And he tried to be like, oh, you're scamming people. Like, dude, I've been like this. And then all of a sudden, I just saw that video again today, 10 months ago, right? I just saw it when I scrolled a little while ago. Anyway, he goes, yeah, so he had your show and everything like that. And then he started talking about this man, we should call Child Protective Service for his son. The guy's cursing one night. And all of a sudden, Bomani's like, yo, Bumbaclot. Yo, it's on now, man. Yo, this nigga, I put my life in this. Bumbaclot, yo, nigga, repeat. I said, I got to help my brother Bomani out, right? I got to get on here, man. Let's come at this nigga, man. You know, and I said, after those 2 shows, that nigga disappeared, you know?
Oh man, yeah, it was a whole lot more than that, man. The devil wouldn't go away, man. You have to just keep on beating him and setting him on fire.
No, it was after a few months, right? You know what I'm saying? The whole thing about what happened was when you he said Bomani's a wanted fugitive, you know. He hopped on a plane and whatnot, you know, and he's a wanted. I'll say they had people in the chat.
Once I went back to Ghana, he had no words because he's like, oh my, yeah.
Yeah,
he had no words.
He had people in the chat room. Some of the people I remember to this day, right? Oh, I want to put the cuffs on Bomani myself, whatnot. I want what the reward is and whatnot. Niggas, man. You know,
unbelievable, right?
You know, niggas, man. You know, that's like, look, we're doing the right thing, Pan-African. Like, what gets me is this: I don't understand how, and I look at this while I'm looking at dynasty shows sometimes, right? Right? It seems like a lot of people really just fucking hate black people, you know. It's like okay.
Yeah, some people literally don't want to see you progress, man. It's like they get up and they hope the worst thing happened to you. And I'm like, that you are a wicked person. I don't understand that. I was like, what we're doing is helping and progressing our people. We're doing black economics. Right? We're building something.
Adolf's FBA, right? You know how much I hate that shit, right? But you'll never see Kala in their chat. I don't even click on. I don't even want to hear what you gotta say. But I don't like somebody, I don't agree, whatever like that, I don't go near them. You know, I don't go stalk. I don't lose sleep over what they're doing. Like, whatever, leave it alone. That's how I am. Because I'm focused on what I believe in. If you don't believe what I believe in, I like this. So I can understand why Nagnesi always want to come on these platforms and give it. We don't give a fuck what you think, you know?
Yeah, literally, man. I mean, the guy is literally irritating, man. I mean, he's trying to convince us not to do business in Africa.
Dude, man, you could talk
because he think like, oh, y'all don't know. I mean, I was like, brother, do you know the kind of extensive research and work of this? You know, I'm just not here. You know, none of us are just here sitting around like we don't know these things. We know the challenges. He
asked me. He goes. Oh, see, Mike O said Nnamdi Azikiwe was a CIA. How did he get overthrown by a military coup in 1965? He was not a CIA. Y'all just didn't like him because he was from the north, and you're a tribalist fuck, you know?
There you go.
And also, Ezekiel was a good-looking dude. You know, he was a real good-looking dude. Y'all were jealous of him, you know? And he was the first president. He was a Nigerian nationalist. Had basically him stayed in charge of Nigeria, people like him, Nigeria would be a different country than it is right now. It'd be a nationalist country. He was a Nigerian nationalist, you know? He loved Black America. He was connected with Malcolm X. He was a Garveyite. And all stuff like that, you know. Nigeria never had a leader since then, you know. And Nagnesi goes, well, you see, Colin, we talk about people you just Google. I go, nigga, Google. I know about Nnamdi Azikiwe since I was a freaking teenager, you know.
Yeah, he don't want to give anybody any credit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I've been studying Nigeria for decades.
Maybe you think he's the only one that has a brain, even though he has a bird brain.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't talk about people I don't know. I've studied. I got books. You know, I've been to the library a few times. You know, and so by the way, I know what I'm talking about when I big up somebody. You know, so like I said, these people, you know, we know what we're talking about. We've studied, you know, and nobody can challenge me on Liberia at all. You know, I know the country. I know the country in and out. I'm like, you know, I don't like brag on myself like that. I'm one of the top scholars when it comes to Liberian history. You know, and so therefore, yeah, we know what we're talking about. This idea that we're trying to do is should have been done a long time ago. We're just building bridges by connecting our black colleges to African institutions, and we're doing like that the best. Just maybe, right? Maybe the NAACP. I could be wrong on this. Maybe the NAACP sees all this and says, and they want to get in front of it, right? But you can't just come and preach integration all these years, right? And ignore people like Kala and Bomani building on the continent and building with Africa for years now, you know? And so therefore, if they want to get on it, because what happens is this is what happens. And I'm going to end with this. You know, they've tried to friggin' ignore the Pan-African movement, right? But what we see now, like I said, the Pan-African movement, the nation-building movement, stuff like that we're doing, is the oldest ideology in Black America, you know? From the 1600s, there were black people talking about returning to Africa and building their own communities, their own republic, you know, their own colony or something like that on the African continent. Since the 1600s, right? Since the 1600s, black people talk about nation building, you know, black unity, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, Africanizing our institutions. We've been doing it for 400 years. So this idea of integration and colorblind, that's new, you know. You go to the blackest churches in America, it's still black people, you know. We still believe in black communities. We still believe we're a people, you know. And we also believe that all our people coming from the islands are part of us too. That's the oldest ideology in Black America. This ADOS, FBA, separatism, all that stupid stuff that's real brand new, you know. So this is the oldest ideology. So the bottom line is now you got real Pan Africans who are trying to get it right. Whether you're in America, you're in Canada, whether you choose to be in the Caribbean, everything, we're all interconnected and we're all going to work together. That's Pan-Africanism. You know, it doesn't mean you got to friggin' just bum rush the coast, you know, and get on some ill-fated missions, unplanned mission to Africa. It doesn't mean that. It does mean when you do have people like Mr. Rosenthal and other people on the continent, you get behind them. You know, you support them. You spread their message. That's the spirit of Pan-Africanism, you know. You want to see people succeed on the continent. You know, when people succeed, they may not do everything you want to do, but if they're building and succeeding, you support them. You know, as simple as that. You know, don't mean don't mean even when you're succeeding, it don't mean that you're better Pan-Africans than this person or whatever like that, you know, just that everybody has their role to play. You know, everybody has their role to play and everybody just play their part. And then when you see this socialization of Pan-Africanism, it's going to turn to political power soon. It's going to turn real soon too. Because I believe the Pan-African movement is having a lot of effect on the decisions African leaders are making lately. For example, the non-aligned movement, you know, like what do we get out of that? You know, what do we get out of all antagonizing Russia? You know, Russia never had any colonies in Africa. So why do we hate Russia? See, that's the spirit of Pan-Africanism. You're putting black first. You know, so that's what I want to say tonight, folks.
Absolutely, like you know, like it seemed like I guess you know the U.S. Africa summit is one of those things where you know they're probably trying to sway you know sway you know movement of things, but people are connected with China and you know they understand they just get a better deal.
And bottom line, our goal is to get what we can out of the United States. Whether that translate into Africa looking at China, America better than China, that's not our job, you know. But we are going to play our hand and get as much as we can out of America's effort. You know, it's like we're going to see what we can get out of it, right? Whether it work well, whether America succeeds in war in China or war in Africa with China, I highly doubt it, right? But I love to see the fight, you know. We benefit from the fallout.
Absolutely, brother. And we gotta focus on what we need to focus on as a people, and telling folks stop getting caught up into all of these things. So
Yep.
yes, family, the journey continues. And as you can see, brother, all the colors, we got all the colors of us there in Africa.
Beautiful.
And family, when you're on that page, you scroll on down, you're gonna see all of the colors and the energy in us.
Oh man, I love that, man. I love
connecting.
the Ghana. I love the Ghana picture.
Yes, so building that energy, man. So just letting people know that's the website, family, africafortheafricans.org, connecting you to a journey of a lifetime. Got 16 years of strong energy and looking to take it to another level. And everything that we do, it supports and build Black-owned business and Black-owned enterprises. And that's our dedication and our social responsibilities at the same time too. We're just not here to just, say these things. We're here to live that life, and we had to do it at the highest level, and looking to do it in the most professional way by making things happen.
Professionalism.
So yes, brother, we're hitting the long run mark.
Yeah, man. Almost 4 hours, bro.
Yeah, so hopefully people enjoy that conversation for Rosenthal and enjoy all the things we
I
talked
can't wait
about
to read the
before.
comments. I can't wait to read the comments in the next couple of days.
And we're gonna work on it and figure it out, and we got good things in place for you. So family, the journey continues, and appreciate you joining, and we'll connect back with you on another live with Bomani and Kala. All right, so
Peace.
Kala, you're good for the night, closing out, and you take care, brother.
All right, brother. Bomani. I'll talk to you. Peace.